it is a very interesting
Hi.
topic to discuss
Yeah, yes.
because I'm a
Please go
little
ahead.
bit of a history buff, especially European history buff. So
Uh,
no, the thing is that if you observe when Christianity started, it started like a Roman cult, right? And then it was slowly adopted by the Roman
okay.
religion.
Wait. I think from my understanding, please let me if I am wrong. Uh, the original Christian sects which are there in Middle East, and they are probably the most oldest one. Correct? So because
No, the oldest
the
one is from the where the Romans were controlling. Yeah, Middle East somewhere because the Romans control a large land mass, right? They didn't control only
no,
the
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the Syrian Christian tradition or the Christian sects in Middle East, okay, what we call Middle East, they are the oldest traditions in terms of Christian sects and the way they worship. Correct. So and from
That's
there
the
it was
Aramaic Christians. Aramaic Christians, the one.
yeah,
So Christianity used to be
correct,
spread in Aramaic earlier, not in Hebrew or in Latin.
correct,
Those are the old.
correct.
Many of them are dead, have died off. The Syrian Christians claim to be offshoots of that Aramaic sect. Say claiming that they claim. Say for example, you can never verify that they were the oldest Christians. It's kind of impossible right now at this stage, right? Because what Christianity has done is wiped out even its own history. The thing with religions like Christianity and Islam is they wipe out their own history because it's impossible to, and you need a very specific kind of culture to keep the history written. So that's why if you notice pre large empires like Constantinople and the British Empire, right? They're able to write and keep their history running. Same with the Germanic Empire, right? When the empires built, then they were documenting all this history. Before that, they were wiping out each other's
Yeah.
subsects, right? So my reason why I was mentioning this is because Christianity has gone through multiple sects before they've come to the current format, right? And they've gone through a lot of infighting. Like, for example, the Christians who came from Rome would have a different perspective than Christians who are from the Middle East, right? Same way, if you remember, there was a big fight between the Pope and the other Anglican sects in Western Europe, right? If you observe that when the Crusades happened, the knights that went to the Crusades were doing it for a political reason, not for religious reason, right? And they went through Christian territory and they butchered a lot of Christians along the way. Like if you read the history, the amount of people the Christians killed, the amount of Christians the Christian kings killed themselves was much higher than the number of Muslims they killed when they arrived in the Holy Land to fight the Crusades, right? And it was Saladin, the emperor at that time, who was more gracious compared to the Christian crusaders at that time. So, for example, post that, maybe the Christians were like, "Oh, we will be, will." They didn't actually, but my point is that they may claim they got more evolved and positive and stuff. But Christianity at fundamental level was, even for example, take Joan of Arc. Even the most interesting story of Joan of Arc, right? It is the same thing. It is them prosecuting a woman who claimed to speak for God by other Christians who also came to speak for God for political reasons, right? So it has always been used for political reasons. It's rarely gone back to theology or to the book. Even the book has been reinterpreted multiple times. So, for example, today, if you ask a Christian whether he accepts the Old Testament, he'll say no. He'll say only the Gospels are true. But when he talks about Adam and Eve and the snake, they'll refer to the Old Testament, right? Because in the Gospels, you do not have all this stuff. You don't have the story of Job. You don't have the story of what's the name of the cave one? The one in the cave, the lion cave. Uh, a lot of these stories are part of the Old Testament. They're not part of the New. They're not part of the Gospels. So Christians selectively pick and choose that which is politically suitable for the time frame. Same with slavery, right? I think I was saying colonialism and slavery is the title. So same with slavery. At point when slavery was useful to the Christian community, they used justification from the Bible for the slavery. But the minute it became unconscionable, or the fact that the world was seeing what they really are, right? They said, "Oh, we will not want slavery anymore." Because fundamentally, if they are claiming, and same thing with Tucker, like people like you mentioned Tucker Carlson, right? Tucker Carlson's idea of Christianity is coming from post Enlightenment, post American Revolution Christianity, where local no agnostic. So a lot of the founding fathers of America were agnostic. They were not Christian. They were not Christian. Fundamentally, they were not. Their idea of the world was not Christian. They may be influenced by Christianity, but their idea of the world was through struggle and through their challenges with the monarchy in England, right? So their framing of their Christianity also came from that opposition to
So what
uh,
you want to
their,
say that this was not Catholic Christian. Nevertheless, they
I
were Protestant
think
Christian,
Anglican
right?
Christianity is very similar as well. So, for example, Anglican Christianity differs authority to the king, but a different king, not the Pope, right? They defer authority to the king, but being advised by the Archbishop. So it's
But
like
again,
clergy
so the
plus
idea
king.
of equality, secularism that the American U.S. Constitution talks about, it is taken from the Protestant point of view, right? I mean,
No,
they
no,
were
it's
they
not.
are talking about equality and all these things at the same time when they are committing genocides. So
No,
they
no, no, it's
they,
not
they
from
are
the
talking
Protestant. It's not from Protestant. It's in opposition to Protestant Christianity.
Anglican. I mean, I would say Anglican,
Correct.
right?
But it's opposition to Anglican Christianity. You have to understand. The Anglican
But
Christianity fundamentally
but it
supports
is
the
it
monarch.
is it is Reformed Christianity, right? It is not the typical Catholic Christianity, so to say.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not. I'm saying is the American Constitution specifically is unique. It is even more unique than the French Constitution because their system. See, for example, you look at the Canadian Constitution is more similar to what you were framing. The Canadian people framed it in terms of Protestant Christianity, but the
Right,
American
because
Constitution is
because
opposition
because
to
in
even
America
that.
there is no pope. There was no pope, and the whole continent was disconnected. So they didn't
Yes,
need the pope in order to establish their
not just Pope. They were
kingdom,
against
so to say.
they were against the Church of England as well. See, you have to understand, they were against the Catholic system. They were against the Anglican system. They were against Orthodox system. That's why multiple groups were able to function within the same region. But they kept their cultural distinctions. For example, you see, they kept their wasp nature. They kept their like the Italians versus wasp. So it became a sectarian problem in America, right?
But
It didn't
the
become a
but
religious
the
problem.
more equal being more equal among the equals, right? Ki there are some people who are more equal, right? So that idea, ki voting
So
right,
what?
only
So what you are?
some people will have voting right and non all the other. So this idea of sort of fringe equality, or so to say non-universal matlab it's isn't it a sort of Protestant universal equality, right? Quote
No,
unquote
it is.
universal
It is what
equality.
Protestants claim they follow, but they don't follow. So for example,
Right,
you look
right.
at you look at Protestant countries, right? They defer to the authority of the church, which automatically makes people unequal to clergy. Clergy already is
No,
become elevated to a position of power.
the point
You know
is,
what I mean?
so we are repeating this point, which is to say ki Christianism is like chameleon. It changes its color as per the place and the time. For
Absolutely.
example, in India, the whole aesthetics of Christianism is just like Hinduism, right? So it is no wonder that in US the color of Christianism will be different,
No, no, but that's
right?
what I'm explaining to you. That we are making a fundamental mistake. We are giving too much power to the the post Constitution Christianity. So, for example, if you read what the founders of America wrote, it was in clear opposition to fundamental Christian beliefs. It is
It
like
was not
it's like
opposition to the belief. It was so to say ki the religious belief should not be whatever central in deciding the governance, and so
no, no, it is not even
that was a
no.
secular form of governance,
But
right?
not the secular way we look at secular, like the way it's taught to us. So how is secularism taught to us? It's like all religion can do what they want and leave with the state will be equidistant to religion. The American Constitution was the religion will not play any role in public life. It is detaching religious
No, no, it is
religion from
not
public
saying
life.
ki it should not play any role in public
No,
life.
no, that's what I'm
What?
trying to
No,
explain to
no, no.
you.
It is not written. It's not written in the constitution. What is written is that ki the religion would not be sort of it. There will be no religion which will be utilized to frame the public
No, no,
policy.
no, 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 no. That's what I'm saying. I've studied some of the court cases. There are a lot of atheist groups in the US who have brought court cases against Christian groups who try to install things like the Ten Commandments and those kind of things within public spaces. And they have won court cases, and the court case course specifically said no Christian belief can be imparted within school, like public spaces, like public schools, public sector undertakings. Christianity cannot enter that space, even if
No, no,
you
I
personally
so
prefer it.
the what I can see, the first amendment of US Constitution says, quote, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or
Yes.
prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Which means it ensures the freedom of religion and the separation of church and state
No, no, but
simultaneously. The first
I understand
amendment.
I
Now,
understand
when
what you
we are
said.
talking about the separation of church and state, it is precisely the idea of secularism, right? The classical secularism that is established in the Protestant way. Ki church and state will be separate. State will be secular, but church is sanatan. Church is eternal. So the state, while framing the law, it will be secular, but church is eternal. So it is the state through its constitution will not touch the religion. तो रिलीजन आप जैसे मर्जी प्रोपोगेट कर सकते हो. तो अगर 90 वहां पे वट एवर 1,000 क्रिश्चियंस आर देयर इन द यूएस कॉन्टिनेंट, दे कैन डू वट एवर टू द नेटिव पीपल, as because that is part of the whatever part of the Christianism. The
One
state
second.
would not talk about it.
So this is
Uh,
I'm sorry.
okay. Oh, wait. So Rishi has some points to make. Rishi, go ahead.
No, sorry,
Eh,
sorry.
Namaste to everyone. Anna, Bijida also, and
Namaste.
Vimarsh Dada. So, all of you can comment on this issue of Christianity in U.S. Constitution and so on. I think Bijida, are you trying to say this? Okay, this is just my interpretation, but even though they do not profess the religion Christianity, but they derive all of the so-called rights from Christian morality itself, right?
Right,
So
exactly.
Thomas Jefferson mangles the whole Bible. So he takes out all of the miraculous portions from the Bible and makes a new Bible uh,
There you go.
for the new America,
Right,
right? So that still remains. That latent Christianity still remains, except all of the supernatural stuff he throws it out. And I
right.
think even the comments by Edmund Burke on I'm forgetting who was the radical guy in the founding fathers who was inspired by the French Revolution. Uh, he was also an atheist. He wrote against Christianity a lot. So even against him, Edmund Burke was giving these arguments that okay, you are against me, but at the end of the day, all of the sort of morality that you are trying to preach to me on equality and so on and so forth, these are from Christian tenets.
Right,
These are not from some independent tenets that you can come up with. So these were the things I've seen. Maybe you can all comment on it much more.
right. So I also heard about it in some random podcasts. But so what you said, yeah. So I heard about it, and that actually says something about this precise point. Ki the morality that was exported to United States by these people, by these colonizers, it was pretty much, I mean, pretty much all of it was the Christian morality, except for these whatever magic and the God and the Christian God, right? So
No,
it
see,
is.
then
Mhm.
I disagree with you here because see, if you the problem we are entangling, we're saying Christian morality can exist without their religion, their religious aspects. It cannot. See, you have to understand
It can
their
actually.
rights. Their rights are endowed by God, by the Creator. That's
Exactly.
very important for them. It is not. So
That proves
what
our
do the
point that the morality that they incorporated was
no,
like
no, no, they did not.
of the
They say
Christian God.
differently. No, they say rights are endowed by the Constitution,
No,
by the
no, no. So,
framing of
so
God.
for
Yes,
example, in the
No,
currency
no, no, no,
that
no,
right,
no.
so when they are writing the constitution, they put one thing at the very center. There is God in which they trust.
no, they didn't have this in the
So
Constitution. This is added later. We are
no,
making a
no, no.
mistake.
I am not saying in God we trust is added in the constitution. I am not saying
Yeah.
that. I am saying ki when being asked ki bhai, okay, what is the basis of all these things? So the attitude is in God we trust.
No, it is
That is
not.
the
That's what I'm
attitude
saying.
to.
It is not. You have to understand. When they frame the constitution, it is not about God. It is about being a nation of equals who beat the
No,
monarchy
no, no.
in
I agree
opposition
with
to
you.
monarchy.
I agree with you. But see, you make a list of laws. Okay, so
I
let's say
let me just read this. This is very important.
no, no. So
This is
no, I agree on you. Just I am saying ki just try to have a bird's eye view. So these guys are writing constitutions, right?
Mhm.
And these are a set of again some a set of commandments. What is a constitution? These are a set of commandments and law. And now, what is the justification of those commandments and all the law? If you ask them, many of them, you will get the even now. If you ask them what justifies this constitution, that prevalent attitude in US is okay. It is coming from the God. In God we trust.
no. I cannot frame what the. I can't say what the framers of
So
the
can you
constitution
derive
said.
the US Constitution from a fundamental first principle? If I
No,
ask you
that's not.
what is that first principle from which the Constitution is emerged?
That is why, for
As
example.
per as okay, as per you, it can emerge from natural morality. In fact, that is the question I'm asking myself when I'm trying to derive, let's say, Hindu Rashtra. But the point is, if I ask a average American what are the justification of these commandments and all these laws that are there in the Constitution, they will be like, okay, it is coming from that God, and in their
Yes, they
mind, it
will.
is coming from that Christian God.
They will say that, but they are wrong. They would be wrong. That's my point. We are conflating what the average American might say about the Constitution with what the founders of the Constitution,
Who are protecting the Constitution?
the courts. That's what I'm saying. That's why let me read this. That's why the courts are extremely good in America. That's why you have to value the court system in America. In spite of them having a significant political differences, frequently the chief justices defer to the constitutional framing. So this is one. The Lemon test is developed in 1971 by a case, Lemon versus Kurtzman. This is very useful. This test required government action to satisfy three prongs to be considered constitutional under the Establishment Clause. First, the government action must have a secular legislative purpose, which basically means all citizens are the same. We keep mixing up, conflating secular with religion. Secular means all citizens are the same, including religion added to that framing, right? Second, its primary effect must neither advance nor inhibit religion. So they are basically detached from the framing of the law. The law must not like advance or inhibit. It should be neutral towards that perspective. Third, the action must not result in excessive government entanglement with religion. So again, you're not supposed to entangle yourself with religion. The primacy is that because we saw what happened in England, the government was entangled to the religion. They did not want that in their state. And the last one is, and this is very clearly, if any of these three requirements were not met, the law violated the Establishment Clause. So this is how they frame almost everything that we discuss. So that's why, for example, you
Okay.
look at their decriminalization, their the same-sex marriage bill. That is exactly how Justice John Roberts came to the conclusion, even though he was a right-wing conservative judge, because he fundamentally
Okay.
saw the
So
constitution
now,
violated because it was coming from a religious framing. The way they were opposing us coming from religious framing, so they had to step back, basically.
now, let's say, so okay, so let's consider, okay, you are all the law that are in whatever institutionalized, implemented, they
Mm.
have to be secular, and they have to respect sort of all religion, right? I mean, they have to be neutral to all religion.
It is
Now, if you
detached from religion.
implement
Yes.
it, now you implement it in real life scenario. Let's say immigration policy. Let's say they come up with a bill कि all immigrants are उनको
Have to be
भगा दिया
Christian.
जाएगा. भगा दिया जाएगा. No, no, they don't talk about Christianity. They say कि
Mm.
भाई जितने immigrant है सारों को भगा दिया जाएगा. ठीक है. And let's say let's create a hypothetical scenario जहाँ पे let's say 10 साल 20 साल से हमारे इंडियन को जितना वीजा दिया गया है वो 70% है,
Mm.
तो इंडियंस आर एक्चुअली डोमिनेटिंग दैट स्टेट ऑफ द सोसाइटी जहाँ पे सारे इमिग्रेंट है.
Yes.
नाउ द लॉ कैन बी सेक्युलर कि हमने तो बोला ही नहीं कि क्रिश्चियंस को भगाएगा या हिंदुओं को भगाएगा,
Correct.
लेकिन द लॉ विल बी इम्पैक्टिंग प्रिडोमिनेटली हिंदूज.
Yeah.
यू सी हाउ यू कैन फ्रेम ए लॉ. अभी जैसे मान लीजिए अभी एसआईआर चल रहा है बंगाल में, ठीक है, ऑब्वियसली इट इज अ सेक्युलर लॉ कि इंडिया में जितने लॉ बनता है वो सारा सेक्युलर ही होता है ना. मतलब इंडियन जुडिशियरी भी थोड़ा बहुत सेक्युलरिज्म को मेंटेन
No,
करके रखता है ना.
this way it will be
So
long,
now,
wrong. No, no, that's before you
Now,
go to India.
no, the main point, the SIR they are saying कि भाई हमारा जो सिटीजन है उनको हम लोग रखेंगे, जो
No,
बांग्लादेश से जो सिटीजन आए हैं उनको तो वोटर लिस्ट में नाम नहीं आएगा. ना
we
बांग्लादेश से जो लोग इमिग्रेट करके आ रहे हैं अभी, लेट्स से आफ्टर 2002, वो प्रिडोमिनेटली वो मुस्लिम पॉपुलेशन है, बिकॉज दे हैव अ थिंग इन माइंड कि वी हैव टू मेक दिस ग्रेटर बांग्लादेश. And it is predominantly affecting one community, which is the Bangladeshi Muslims.
yeah, but we
Now,
can't. We
it
can,
is a secular principle, but when you implement it, it is actually choosing to attack a very specific community. If
no, no,
attack
no,
is
but
the right word.
that is where you would the American justice system and ours is not the same. So, for example, if you look at Trump's first term, I'll give you a very good example. Trump's first term, he created a bill where he would prevent immigrants from 5 different countries. Five.
Huh.
They're predominantly Muslim countries, right?
Five
But he
or
didn't
10,
frame
I
it.
think it was 8 or 10 countries.
He
I
didn't
was
frame
there
it
at
as
that
he didn't
time.
frame it as the Muslim bill. The
Right,
people
right.
they framed it, but the courts threw it out because they said it is impossible for us to validate such a law that selectively picks and choose from countries that can come because it is majority going to be from one community. So the American courts will not substantiate. So, for
Oh,
example,
come
if,
on.
if,
Don't, no, no,
if
no, don't say it. So the
they
point
will
is,
not.
in US, when the speed limit is 60 mile per hour, if a white guy is running at 60, 70 mile per hour, उसको
No,
पकड़ा नहीं जाएगा.
no,
If
that is
Indian is
implementation. You're
driving at
mixing implementation
65,
and legal. No, 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 no. You're mixing lawmaking
because
and
the population is
implementation.
predominantly Christian, na? So you
That is
can
fine.
use the.
Okay, okay. Just one more thing. So, this is the from the Charter of Independence, correct? So we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
Happiness.
So, correct. So,
Who is the
uh,
creator?
No,
Creator
yes,
with a
their
capital
exactly.
creator.
C.
It is very important. Their creator is not the Christian God. They could have added the Christian God. They add their creator because
Okay,
you understand.
okay,
They at that
It's a
time itself
capital
they were
C, dude. It's a capital C.
no, 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 we are imposing our personal
okay,
current
okay,
No,
okay.
no,
system
no,
to
no,
them.
no. Wait.
Who is the creator here with a capital C?
Okay,
Who you frame as the creator?
okay, we need to hear Rishi's argument. Rishi, go ahead.
Yeah, so
Rishi, go ahead.
over here, with Anand, Dada
I
is
could be wrong.
correct that Dada is correct that it's not specifically Christian God. It's because they were deists. Mainly, those who were writing these texts were deists. What I'm saying is the morality that they preached that
Hmm.
was from Bible. That was specifically from Bible. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's yes, what Dada has been saying that they are not entirely basing it from Christianity as a religion itself. It's true. It's completely true. They do not do that at all. They it was, I think it was a pet peeve of Thomas Jefferson himself, which is why he mangled the whole Bible to make it unchristian. Literally, he removed Trinity. He removed everything that was Christianity, so called, and he made it a completely neo-Christian. What should I say? An American religion, so-called. A new America, a new land, a new religion. That's what he made. But that what
And
Bijidda
that
says,
is the
that
attitude of
latent
the
thing that
Protestant
still
movement,
remains
na? That is the attitude of the Protestant movement.
completely.
We will
नहीं
have
नहीं
our own religion and our
Mhm.
own church.
नहीं नहीं
That
नहीं नहीं.
that
Protestant religion is in fundamentally opposition to the Pope. They
I'm talking about
framed
the
it as
attitude. I'm talking about the attitude. कि we will have our we will have like अगर एक community है उनका अपना church बनाएंगे अपना morality बनाएंगे. That movement, that attitude कि भाई हम लोग वो जो पोप है ना वहां पे बैठा हुआ जो कैथोलिक चर्च का उसके बाद नहीं मानेंगे. हम लोग क्रिश्चियन रहेंगे बट अपने हिसाब से डिसाइड करेंगे. जैसे हिंदू
but
अपनी
you
बातें करते रहते
but
कि
you
ठीक
notice
है
each
we are चारवाक we don't believe in Veda but we are Hindu. That
नहीं 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 but
attitude.
no, but Protestants are, have you noticed Protestants still create their own Pope locally.
वही तो बोल
They
रहा हूँ मैं
gravitate towards the same
कि मुझे
structure.
एक सेंट्रलाइज्ड पोप नहीं चाहिए. दैट्स द पॉइंट आई एम सेइंग. दैट एटीट्यूड
That
कि
I agree with you.
यूएस गए हैं यूएस वाला अपना एक रिलीजन क्रिएट कर लेंगे हम यहाँ पे.
No, that
हमें
I agree
वो
with you.
इटली का पोप का
I'm
बात.
not, that I don't distinguish. I don't disagree with you at all. The reason I framed is because my point is we give too much power to the current, what do you call it, Christian movement to frame them in alignment with the creators of the
हाँ
constitution because they were different people. See, but the
तो दैट्स
problem
द
is
पॉइंट ना. the
हाँ,
current जो का क्रिश्चियनिज्म है या फिर जो अपना ग्रॉइपर क्रिश्चियनिज्म है, obviously they are aligning themselves with the American Christianism, American quote unquote Protestant Christianism.
no, it is European Christianism. It's old world Christianism. They're aligning with that, not with American Christianism. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. They're aligning themselves with old world, what do you call this, cultish Christianity. They keep killing each other, fighting each other. That's what I'm trying to explain. You have to understand. They're going back to old world Christianism because and old world Christianism is rooted in race. You understand?
Hmm.
It is not rooted in beliefs or in principles. It's
Just
rooted in race.
again. So when you're saying old world Christianism, how old you're saying that the Protestant Christianism is not. I mean, they don't believe in race.
As
They
the
do,
old world
right? Like
Christianism,
you read
you know,
Immanuel Kant. You read this guy, Immanuel Kant. He's writing ki. So there is this scientific temper. He's talking about scientific temper, and he's writing ki he okay at the age of 71 he completed the manuscript, the toward perpetual peace, and he consciously, openly believed in the hierarchy of races, and in particular the superiority of whites over non-white. To him, the Native Americans were weak, inert, incapable of any culture,
correct.
and occupied in the lowest rung of the radical hierarchy. And his belief was that the white represented the perfection of humanity,
Yep.
right? So, I mean, would you call it a enlightenment? You call it enlightenment philosopher, right?
Yep.
This guy and his writing. So this is
I don't.
enlightenment philosophy,
I don't.
and and this is a typical attitude, right? So this guy
No,
is
I'm agreeing
clearly
with you. They also agree with you.
dismissing the Christian God, but the morality he is actually adopting from the old Christianism. That
They
the old
also agree with you.
Christianism.
I
So
completely
no
agree
matter
with you,
whether
Jeff.
it is the Groiper Christianism or Kak Christianism or Kant Christianism, it is the same Christianism, the same value that they talk about. They are talking about this universal equality and all these things, but they don't really believe in it.
They don't believe it. I agree. I'm not
Because
disagreeing
when
with
you
any of that.
when you say about equality and then you import this historiocentricity and historicity of civilizational evolution to believe ki white are the superior race, then the equality goes down the gutter and you
No, I
start
agree.
believing in the historicity itself.
That I agree with you. I agree with you. I just want to frame it because I feel often that these guys, the current racist group, they take advantage of the superior intellect of the founding fathers because those people
Ah,
actually thought about the consequences of what they were writing. These people don't think about
right.
anything. They don't think about consequences at whatsoever. Right? Those people had to go through difficult situations just to establish their state. See, we are mixing up these guys on the internet to those people who actually went through difficulty and actually philosophers. They actually studied philosophy. They read stuff from around the world. They debated what they were going to structure in their next generation. These
Right.
people don't do any of that shit. We can't conflate the two strains. That's what I'm saying. So, for example, you take England and France. Why did they have the 100-Year War? 100-Year War for the same family, similar racial identity, similar, but they still wanted to one up each other on Christianity, on the basis of Christianity. That I am the
Right.
superior, what क्या बोलते हैं, the person to hold up Christianity. See, we have to understand. Until we understand the enemy, we'll fall for their trap, and their trap is to say they are all one. They are
No,
not
no,
all
no,
one.
no. But I must say one more thing here. Ki you can't believe what they write. You cannot believe
I
what
don't.
they
I
write.
don't. I don't
They
believe.
don't mean what they write.
I look
That's
at
the
the
main
action.
problem. You have
Look
to
at their action.
understand the action, exactly, the action and the attitude. ठीक है? Because most of the thing they'll say, अरे ये तो मतलब I am saying it as a joke. So when I was doing PhD in my group, there was this guy, this white guy, and he was saying ki, what is the population of India? I said ki 1.4 billion. Well, it's actually 0.7 billion, and I was like, why? And he was like, okay, you are half human. Ha ha ha. I mean it as a joke. They don't mean it as a joke. They are saying it right in your face.
They think it.
Now, if
Yes.
you're really stupid Hindu, you will believe कि अरे ये तो joke में कह दिया चलो
Yes.
कोई बात नहीं. But you have to understand the attitude behind a joke, even when they
That
are
I agree
throwing
with
a
you.
joke.
See, that's why I agree with you completely on the cultural framing. Even the founders of the American state, even there I agree with you. Their cultural morality was framed from a Christian lens. I give you that because
Hmm.
fundamentally, when we create ideas, and especially in our 40s and 50s, which is what slowly their age is coming up to, your moral framework is almost set. It is very difficult to
Mm.
like change that point, right? So
Right.
when you write something, what I would say is that they were pragmatic Christians, or in the
Right.
case they were pragmatic deists who understand the political landscape they were trying to govern. So for example, when you Ambedkar, for example, framed all his ideas based on the political landscape he was trying to govern, right? All
Right.
the different SC groups that he was trying to bring together, he framed all his ideas based on that, not just on the
Right.
fact that he was analyzing scholarship and stuff. He framed it from a political lens as well. So we have to accept that they were framing even their ideas from the Christian political lens, because majority of the people who lived there were Christians, and they would
Right.
have to you have to massage your ideas to suit their sensitivities, or they may be the next revolt.
Right. Right.
True, true,
एंड
true.
उनका उनका शायद एटीट्यूड ये भी था कि मतलब इतना दूर आ गए अब वो कचरा क्यों लाना है. आई थिंक इट वाज देयर एटीट्यूड प्रोबब्ली.
And at the time
Uh,
there was strong opposition to the monarchic empires. You understand, America was in a throes after its civil war. It not civil war, after its war against the British Empire.
Independence,
They,
whatever. War for
yes, they were they
independence.
were they were in a throes of, do we keep these nobility in our culture? Like there were a lot of nobles from Europe who had come and
Hmm.
settled in America as well, right? And they control a lot of the land, a lot of the resources. So if those nobility framed themselves in alignment with the British Empire, they were going to be in the chopping block next. So a lot of the intellectuals who were like basically funded or propagated by those nobles would frame it against the empire in Europe. So you see, I
Right.
understand how everything is political in nature fundamentally, even your framing of morality.
Same.
okay, so Rishi would to explain something which actually supporting both Anand and Vichita. Rishi, go ahead.
Yes, yes. Thanks. So this is a song, the anacreontic song. So this is supposed to be the original inspiration for the Star Spangled Banner, the national anthem for America. So if one studies this song, they can get the idea what Ananda was saying. Also, Bijidda was also alluding to it. How they were like totally distant from Christianity itself, but yet they kept the Christian morality because it was inherited. They had no other framework after all.
Right.
But how they were totally distant from Christianity, this song is one of the best evidence for it. Like you can see the references to Bacchus and
Exactly.
other pagan god of Greeks.
Venus.
So this is a song of freedom, and the allusion is to the Greek god of wine and I think festivities. I think if I remember correctly, and you will enjoy this. You all will enjoy this.
Yes. So
It
okay.
looks like
So
a
let's
pagan. It looks like a pagan song.
yes, it's a pagan song. So it's a Apollo rose up and said
हाँ मतलब
so.
I don't see any Christian God here. Maybe the framework
Nothing.
will be Christian.
No,
Maybe
no.
the
See, they're
vibe. Huh?
framing as
I don't
devil
know.
and devil. They frame the devil within this as well. So you
Okay,
understand,
so there is
it's a very
no, there
syncretic
is
form
good
of
king of the god. There you go.
yeah,
So it's like this Greco-Roman Gentile philosophy
yeah.
coupled with the Christian morality.
Because fundamentally, Christianity became mainstream from Rome. So
Huh. That's what we have been saying, na, ki they adopted pretty much many of the pagan philosophies without giving any attribution, right? Any proper references.
correct.
Because they
That is
destroy
what
So
their
that
own
Bijita
history,
has
Indo
and
pagan history.
never happened. Yeah, go ahead, Rishi. Rishi, go ahead. Rishi, go ahead.
yeah, so Bijita Anda, I've seen many American atheists actually using this song to argue against all of the right wingers in America, saying like when they say that founders were Christian in mind and so on and so forth, like OG Christians. So they refer to
Hmm.
this song and say that how can a Christian get inspired from this sort of song with Apollo,
Right,
Bacchus, and such references.
right, right, right.
See, let me read few more. I don't know if I can share this to you. This is a
Yes,
legal
you can do.
Supreme Court ruling.
You can do. You
Supreme
can
Court
do.
ruling.
Just put it,
How do
put it
how do I
on
share?
the put it on the private chat. I love it.
Arey, I'm also my PC. How do I get this? Hmm. Can I just put it in the chat, normal chat?
Yeah, yes, you can put it. Put it. I'll copy it.
I just put it. So if you look at some of the landmark rulings on public religious display, right? There are some really good ones because this fight has been going on for some time in America, especially in the 90s to the I think I left the US in like 2003. Is it 2003? It's been going on since the late 80s till the early 2010s. This fight with about religious displays, right? And they've been winning suit after suit after suit, the atheists, because fundamentally the courts support the idea that religious beliefs have no place in public policy or public structures, because they
Right.
frame. So for example, you what is legal in America is this: you can go to your church, you can say this legal this law is going out, put pressure via your secular institutions, but believe in the religious reason why you want to go against it. So, for example, if you're against abortion, you have a strong belief against abortion from a religious perspective, but you vote in a secular manner without telling you're voting because of your religion. But if you
Hmm.
strike down a law by saying Christ said no abortion, that is unconstitutional under American law, right? But we would not see it like that. We would not see it like that. For example, we
Hmm.
would see Gaumata is part of our cultural heritage and her protection is important. Every Indian must defend that right? Because we are not secular the way Americans are secular. We are actually we are technically not secular, but the court keeps calling us secular, so I don't know. But we are a fundamental pluralistic people, and we have some cultural moorings that we want to keep consistent in our culture,
The
right? And that's why.
civilizational ethos, so to say.
Correct, exactly.
Uh,
We don't have a civilized ethos. You understand, America is not a civilized country. It is
exactly.
a nation state created by people who overthrew a monarchy. So
Right.
when you overthrowing a monarchy, you need to frame some commonality, because again, America was a group of Italian immigrants, then earlier pilgrims, like some Asians, like some lot of Jews, lot of African who had lost connection to their tribal heritage, right? Who were converted forcibly by the church. Like a lot of things, they had like, multiple identities going on. So you need a foundational ideology, and you're right, they took that from the cultural moorings of Protestantism, but from a pragmatic American system. Like it's a unique
Hmm.
system. It's like not comparable to any part of the world.
Right.
Australia
Right.
is Australia is comparable to Anglican Protestantism. Canada is comparable to Anglican Protestantism, but America is not. That's my point. The USA is not.
Right.
That's what I was trying to
Hmm.
make distinction. That's all.
Yes, Vijit, are you gonna comment on the whole American journey of slavery now? That great journey of
Slavery
this.
अभी थोड़ा we are not going to discuss maybe बाद में बात करेंगे अभी तो बाद में और एक कर
Okay, okay.
लेंगे यार मतलब नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में कर लेंगे ऐसी
I
बात नहीं है
apologize.
हाँ
I completely
Thank you.
नो
sidetracked.
नो इट्स अ गुड अरे अभी
No, no,
अगला
no.
थोड़ा
It's
अच्छा हो रहा
important.
है तो अभी मोनोलॉग की जरूरत नहीं है मोनोलॉग इज द मोस्ट बोरिंग थिंग
Okay, by the way,
नो
both of you can
सी
comment
आई
on this.
वांटेड
So,
दिस लेक्चर सीरीज आई वांटेड दिस लेक्चर सीरीज क्योंकि सारे लोग आके बता सके कि चल क्या रहा है राइट क्योंकि इंडिया में वी डोंट टॉक अबाउट क्रिश्चियनिज्म एज मच एज वी टॉक अबाउट इस्लाम दिमाग में बैठा हुआ है अरे कौन किसी का क्या काट दिया है ना इसका वो चला गया गला काट दिया वट
when
एवर
Christianism when Christianism affects more of our political thought than any other
एग्जैक्टली
culture.
एग्जैक्टली दैट्स द
It affects
पॉइंट
everything. My God, it's rampant.
कि तुम देखोगे जैसे वही जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का अगर बात चलता है राइट इट इज इम्पोज्ड राइट द होल आइडिया ऑफ सेकुलर एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स वो कहीं
अरे
से लिया गया है
लोग जानते भी नहीं लोग जानते भी नहीं Marxism has its roots in Christianism.
एग्जैक्टली
Socialism has its roots in Christianism. Why no one like
everything everything that's why you that's why I call it abrahamism मतलब पूरा एक फ्रेमवर्क है जिसने डिस्टॉर्शन मैं इसीलिए तो बोला ना अभी मतलब ये लेक्चर चालू करने से पहले कि डिड यू हियर इट वो जो रोडीज वाला जो एग्जांपल दिया
नहीं
कि
yes,
I was not
yes.
there for a little late.
लेट मी टेल यू दिस अगेन तो पाकिस्तानी रोडीज होता है एक आई डोंट नो अगेन उसका नाम पाकिस्तानी रोडीज है कि
On
नहीं
the
या
edge.
रोडीज है
On the edge.
The
On the
roadies
edge.
are already bad. I can't imagine Pakistani roadies.
पाकिस्तानी रोटीज, राइट? कैन यू इमेजिन? हाँ, क्या नाम है ऋषि उसका?
On the edge
ऑन द एज,
नाम
अच्छा
रखा
ठीक
है।
है। तो वो पाकिस्तानी
On the
रोटीज ही
edge
है,
वकार
सेम
ज़ारा या
मतलब।
क्या है?
वो एक डार्क रूम होता है कि वो रघु टाइप एक इंटरव्यूअर बैठा रहता है और दो तीन वैसे लफंगे आके कुछ करके जाते हैं। तो एक एपिसोड में एक बंदा आया तो बोला, मतलब कुछ, मतलब आर यू गोइंग टू परफॉर्म, मतलब कुछ परफॉर्मेंस करके दिखाओ, कुछ गाना वाना आता है तो। बोला सर वो गिटार में ले सकता हूँ। बोला अच्छा गिटार लेके गाना गाएगा तू? बोला नहीं सर, वो गिटार लेके अपने सर पे मार के वो गिटार तोड़ दूंगा मैं। ठीक है, दैट इज परफॉर्मेंस। तो दैट इज अब्राहमिज्म, राइट? कि एक जो नेचुरल एक इंस्ट्रूमेंट है उससे कुछ नेचुरल चीज कर सकते हो, वो नहीं रखना है। कुछ एक वियर्ड सा सबवर्सिव, कुछ परवर्सिव चीज कर देना है और फिर 1000 सालों से उसका मतलब उसके लिए एक एपोलॉजिस्ट लीनिएज ऑफ फिलोसोफर्स क्रिएट करना है। तो मैं तो अब्राहमिज्म को इसी तरीके से देखता हूँ।
So Vijita, I wanted to ask you this. Ananda bhi hai, and Vimarsh Dada can also comment on it. So while I was reading about when you said na कि वो equality पे बहुत बोलते हैं, like equality is a Christian value and so on. So I was reading then कि some of the like Doug Wilson एक है ना बहुत radical Christian है
हाँ हाँ
अमेरिका का.
हाँ।
Uh, he is I think the pastor of Pete Hegseth, I guess. So he said this कि we derive this value from second commandment of Jesus कि love thy neighbor as yourself. या ऐसा कुछ है, I think. I'm phrase मतलब गलत है. So he says that the neighbor is supposed to be a Christian. Like the neighbor was thought to be Jew in Old Testament.
राइट।
So the love thy neighbor as yourself. So वो equality as in brotherhood, वो brotherhood of belief, वो faith का जो
एग्जैक्टली।
brotherhood है,
उम्मा।
in that we have equality. Yeah. So
राइट।
he was like arguing that how can we extend that to like pagans and atheists and so forth. ये तो हो नहीं सकता, ये कैसे होगा? Like this doesn't make sense. So when you were talking about equality, that came to my mind. I would like your comment and all of your
राइट।
comments actually.
नहीं मतलब इसमें आर्ग्यू क्या करना है यार, ये तो मतलब ऑब्वियस है। इसमें और एक कोट पढ़ देता हूँ मैं। सो दिस इज अगेन इमैनुअल कांट, राइट? सो इमैनुअल कांट इज राइटिंग, so he wrote that the black color of a Negro carpenter proved the stupidity of whatever he said, and that the difference in the mental faculties of the whites and blacks was as large as the difference in their colors. On the Hindus, he was of the view that they were superior to the Negroes because they could be educated, but only in the arts and not in the sciences and other subjects that required powers of abstraction. Forget about our scientific astronomical achievement. अगर पाणिनि का अष्टाध्यायी ही पढ़ लेता तो भी इतना ये कमेंट करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ता। ठीक है, बट एनीवे ठीक है।
अरे अद्वैता, फर्स्ट लाइन ऑफ अद्वैता पढ़ लेता भाई, वही अब्स्ट्रैक्शन है। द ऑब्जर्वर, द ऑब्जर्व्ड, वही अब्स्ट्रैक्शन है ये।
हाँ सही में यार, मतलब दृष्टा की दृष्टा बन जाए, उससे ज्यादा बड़ा एब्स्ट्रैक्शन क्या हो सकता है? तो दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा एब्स्ट्रैक्शन है कि
नो
ट्राई
बट
टू सी इवन योर माइंड। मतलब इससे ज्यादा एब्स्ट्रैक्शन क्या हो सकता है?
so this comment about the neighbor, right? It's a very interesting framing. So if you look at all, even I know I have some Jewish friends, and I appreciate the Jewish people. But if you look at even Judaism fundamentally sees the neighbor, the friendly neighbor, is as a Jew, right? Because their reformation came via the conquest or the the, the physical violence of taking David, right? They were if you look at it, in essence, they were first polytheistic group of people, and then through reformation they decided only one God, and then they imposed it on all the tribes, all the Jewish tribes. Like, it literally was they were forced to be monotheistic, right?
राइट।
So at from that point itself, the neighbor is the one who's your partner, who's your brother in terms of their brother in religion or brother in belief. It is what is happening is when they come to the modern world and they find more cultures beyond their religion, and they have to justify allowing them to stay peacefully and trade. Remember, trade also plays a big role in this, right? How do you justify
Toleration.
trading?
That's why they're
Correct.
talking about toleration, right? Yeah.
Correct. How do you justify trade and working with these communities when your theology tells they are not part of your brotherhood, right? So then you
Yeah.
modify that framing by saying brotherhood of man, not brotherhood of brother, means your religious brother.
Right.
That is what they've been doing. That's historically how they keep changing the goalpost. This was been done by Christians. Now they have resolved that problem because now they don't completely ignore those old books because it's all changed. And now Muslims are doing the same thing because
Right.
fundamentally, again, Muslims do the same thing. They didn't see brotherhood of man because if brotherhood of man existed, then the conquest of the Islamic nations was not required. Because all you do is just your brother, you're my brother. We follow the same. And why would they fight other people of the book? The same
Right.
the same prophets they
That's why we
accept.
need to dismantle this wholesale
Correct.
Abrahamism. We have to
Hmm?
dismiss it
First,
wholesale. We have
but
to
before we
destroy
dismantle
it.
hosting, we dismantle the fundamental premises. The fundamental premises, and this is what lots of people
No,
apologetics do.
see,
Is
you are talking about fundamental premises, but they also don't exist. You have to understand. Their
right,
fundamental premises are their
of today.
historicity.
I'm saying
They are
fundamental premises of today. You use
वो
the
तो change हो
historicity
जाएगा
to
ना.
destroy.
When you try to catch the मुंडी या फिर whatever क्या गला, वो अपने आप को change कर लेगा ना. Their fundamental premises are their historicity and historiocentricity कि there was a Jesus. उस पे
Hmm.
बार बार उस पे वार करते जाओ कि जीसस कौन था ही नहीं,
That
contemporary
I
record ही
agree.
नहीं,
That also I agree. That
राइट.
also.
और इस्लाम के
Okay.
लिए उनका एक सेंट्रल पीस ऑफ एक मैन है, जितना भी मुश्किल हो, क्योंकि वो उसे इसलिए गिरने नहीं देता. नुपुर शर्मा जो इंसिडेंट
Yes.
हुआ,
Yes.
वो
Yes.
इसलिए
Yes.
गिरने नहीं देता क्योंकि वो एक आइकन अगर गिर गया तो पूरा
हाँ,
इस्लाम
सब कुछ
खत्म
गया.
होगा.
सब कुछ गया यार. सब कुछ गया.
हाँ, सो दे अंडरस्टैंड देयर फंडामेंटल प्रीमाइसेस वेरी वेल.
तो देख
ठीक
लो.
है.
इतना कितने ईयर से प्रैक्टिस है भाई. What do you expect?
हाँ, इतने दिनों से मतलब दे हैव मास्टर्ड इट, राइट, द होल आर्ट. और 70 साल 80 साल पहले 100 साल पहले 1930s में इसके नाम, इनके व्हाटएवर नाम पे जितना रिस्पांस मिलता था, जो वायलेंट रिस्पांस मिलता था, अभी भी उतना ही वायलेंट रिस्पांस मिलता है.
No, but
वो कोई
that's my
भी
point.
कंट्री में.
Array, but this is very interesting. If you look at early, like this, I think late Arabic Islam, or this is after the first wave of conquest, and then Islam dies off for 300 years, right? And then
Right.
it is slowly coming. It's coming back again, but it's coming back in a very like a very neutral, not a very because it's moved to Persia by that time by that point. And in Persia, there are a lot of atheists, so-called framers, who call them the Muslim, and they frequently criticize the Prophet. Like, you could see so many. They make
Right,
comments
right,
random.
right,
He's very tangentially though. They won't mention him. They'll mention that
right.
these ideas are foolish or these thoughts are dumb. Like they literally will
अकबर
say
ने किया है
that.
भाई. अकबर ने
Hmm?
किया है. हमारा
Hmm.
जो बादशाह है अकबर, अकबर ने किया है.
But my point is again this fundamental not fundamentalization starts again from the Turks. So again it's going through waves, right? It goes through waves of this stuff. So the the challenge is when do you catch the wave at the right point to do the targeting. You don't do it at the
Right.
highest point because highest point requires most amount of manpower. At the lowest point, you have least amount of manpower, you can do more damage.
नहीं, ये कमेंट्स काफी सारे आ रहे थे, रेट्रो से आ रहा था, which was very funny कि अगर इन्होंने if they knew Jesus was black, or if Emmanuel Kant knew Jesus was black, वो खुद को गोली मार लेता भाई. वो
But
बर्बाद कर देता.
they didn't even know that the Arabic numerals were Hindu numerals. They didn't
Right,
know that
right.
much of the stuff that they got from India was going,
Exactly.
that was from Arabia was coming through India and China. It's only
मैं
after they
नंबर
left
फाइल
those.
फॉलो करता हूँ. नंबर फाइल में रिसेंटली एक अच्छा एपिसोड आया है. They are recognizing the calculus and all these things, which is a good
Mhm.
thing.
But my point is that the reason why they didn't recognize earlier is because we didn't say anything. And fundamentally, our
Hmm.
fault is that we don't speak up.
Hmm.
And
Right.
when we speak up and we find opposition, we sit back down. No,
Hmm.
don't sit back down. Say you sit down. Tu baith ja. Like fundamentally, what problem? For example, Sanjeev Sanyal has been talking about the history of the centrality of Indian culture or Hindu culture in ancient world for some time. But it
Hmm.
required Mr. Dalrymple to start doing a wave of move, like sitting all over the world and India के बारे में कोई बात नहीं कर रहा था. If Dalrymple was honest, he'll say there were my fellow people who were talking about it.
Exactly.
और आपने उनको सुना नहीं, मुझे एक गोरे बंदे को बैठा के आप सुन रहे हैं.
अरे
Like, if he really
हमसे लिटरली रेफरेंसेस कॉपी करके हमारे रेफरेंस डाल नहीं रहा है.
Oh no, he goes on telling leftists, oh, you know, the white man oppressed the brown man. अबे तू तो acknowledge कर, तू brown लोगों से ले रहा है references, वो भी नहीं कर रहा भाई. स्मार्ट गए, कैसे स्मार्ट है ना वो, जाके वहां जाके विक्टिम खेल करेंगे. Oh, you know, I align with all the oppressed people, brown people, oppressed people. But ये बंदा acknowledge करेगा वो किसी और ने काम किया है, उनको acknowledge करना है. अगर हम जाएंगे कि कोई अमेरिकन यूनिवर्सिटी में और कोई यूनिवर्सिटी वेस्टर्न यूनिवर्सिटी में और जाके एक भी कोटेशन डालेंगे विदाउट प्रॉपर एक्नॉलेजमेंट, वो बाहर किक अस आउट ऑफ द यूनिवर्सिटी, रेफेल करके रिपोर्ट करेंगे. ये लोग तो एक्नॉलेज ही नहीं करते भाई.
नहीं वही ना. एक बार इन्होंने कहा था अपना विश्वनाथ क्रिकेट टीम में जब ग्रेग चैपल को लाने की बात चल रहा था, तो गांगुली ने ग्रेग चैपल को लाया. उससे पहले गुंडाप्पा विश्वनाथ थे शायद, मतलब कोचिंग के लिए उन्होंने भी मतलब ही अप्लाइड. ही सेड कि यार मुझे तो फेयर एंड लवली फिर लगाना पड़ेगा अगर मुझे गोरा होना है, मतलब अदरवाइज तो आजकल इंडियन टीम का मैं कोच नहीं बन सकता. अभी तो एटीट्यूड बदल गया है, बट एक जमाने में ये भी हमने देखा है कि इंडियन कोच तो भाई नहीं चलेगा, कपिल देव नहीं चलेगा.
अरे हमारे कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में भी यही प्रॉब्लम है. कोई इंडियन कुछ आइडिया वॉलंटियर करेगा है ना, गोरा आइडिया वॉलंटियर करेगा, वो गोरे को देखेंगे. गोरे ने बोला इसलिए
मैं ये यहाँ के अपने लोगों को समझा के मैं थक गया हूँ एक बात कि भाई एक साथ काम करते हैं. वो गोरा डिवाइड कर रहा है भाई, उसका कुत्ता बनने से फायदा नहीं है. यू जस्ट मतलब स्टे इन ए टीम, यू डिलीवर मोर वर्क टुगेदर, और फिर उसका जो हायर मैनेजमेंट है उसका नजर में आ जाएगा. वहां का जो जॉब बैठा हुआ है ना लंदन में, कोई भी अगर हार्ड को जो क्वांट बैठा हुआ है उसका तो रिटायरमेंट का टाइम आ रहा है ना भाई, तो इधर तो किसी ना किसी को हायर करेगा. तो वो मौका ढूंढ, उसके मतलब चप्पल चाटने से अच्छा है यू टेक द अपॉर्चुनिटी कि वो जब जाए, वो उसका जो टीम है, उसका जो डिवीजन है वहाँ, वो यहाँ पे खुले. इतना कोई सोच नहीं सकता. मतलब इंडियंस आर सो क्लोज नाउ इन देयर ब्रेन, वो इतना देख नहीं सकता कि भाई यहाँ पे टीम बैठा लेंगे ना तो वो उससे सस्ते में काम करेंगे और एक इम्पोर्टेंस आ जाएगा ना अपनी कंपनी के लिए. इतना समझाने के लिए मतलब पसीना बहाना पड़ता कि भाई तू उसके चमचेदारी मत कर, वो कोई नहीं है, इधर तेरा ब्रो बैठा हुआ है, तो ब्रो की बात सुन.
My problem is there are a lot of these people who go around talking about meritocracy.
I have seen one more trend in US. I am telling you. ये जो अपने ग्रुप के बंदे होते थे, मेरा रूममेट भी था एक, वो 4 रूममेट हैं, वो एक बंदा गोरों के साथ जाके बाकी 3 रूममेट का मजाक उड़ाए. मैं कहा तुझे कौन अभी मतलब बचाएगा कौन, यहाँ पे कुछ हो गया अगर तू वहां जाके आज मेरे बारे में बोल रहा है, कल ये दूसरे मेरा जो रूममेट है उसके बारे में बोल रहा है, तो तू इंडियन है ना, तेरा तो ये सब काम करने की जरूरत नहीं है. वो अगर जोक मार रहा है तो पास कर देना, वो रेसिप्रोकेट क्यों कर रहा है. और जबकि गोरे बोल रहे थे, गोरे उसे समझा रहे थे कि भाई अपने रूममेट के बारे में ऐसे तू कैसे बोल सकता है. दे वर बीइंग सरप्राइज्ड कि भाई ये बंदा कर क्या रहा है. लेकिन उसको वो समझ में, उसके हिसाब से कि उससे गोरा बनना था इन अ वे, राइट. तो बाद में थोड़ा बहुत समझ में आ गया, लेकिन क्योंकि उसे गोरा बनना था तो इसीलिए उसको वो चपलूसी करना था. इट वाज मतलब ये बार बार होता रहता है, ये बार बार एक्सप्लिसिटली समझाना पड़ता है कि भाई यहाँ पे जो चल रहा है ना, यहाँ पे एक गैंग वॉर चल रहा है, उधर एक गैंग बैठा हुआ है जिसको बचपन से पढ़ाया गया है कि एक्ट लाइक ए गैंग, तो वो गैंगस्टर की तरह एटीट्यूड रख रहा है. वो काम कम करके भी बिकॉज ही इज बीइंग पार्ट ऑफ द गैंग वो तुझे उल्लू बना रहा है.
That is fundamentally the problem. We are choosing between a binary. We're choosing whether the white savior from the right wing side or the white savior from the left wing side.
Exactly.
नहीं चाहिए कोई सेवियर भाई, हम अपना ओन सेवियर बनेंगे.
आजकल ब्लैक लोग मजे ले रहे हैं कि रामास्वामी क्या हुआ, तुम
Seriously.
गोरे इनके साथ दिए थे ना, व्हाइट क्रिश्चियन नेशनलिस्ट के साथ देके
No, but
ब्लैक लोगों को.
I will give him some. I'll give some credit. He didn't technically say मैं आपके साथ हूँ. उसने बोला from his perspective, he said our values align. He never lied about his values. Okay, you would be
तो
very clear.
उसने बोला कि जुडियो क्रिश्चियन वैल्यू ये वो, राइट. सो बेसिकली ही वाज प्रोमोटिंग द
Like,
गोरा वैल्यू ना,
no, but
कि आई
no,
एम
no, no.
पार्ट ऑफ यू. मतलब मी विवेक रामास्वामी, वी कैन गैंग अप विद द व्हाइट नेशनलिस्ट ऑफ यूएस.
Because he's a politician. He's
दैट्स दैट.
not. He's not a
एंड
philosopher.
एंड आई नो इट फॉर ए फैक्ट कि यूएस में जितने सारे हिंदू बैठे हुए हैं, उनका ये जो रिपब्लिकन व्हाइट का पैर चाटना है, उसके पीछे दो थियोरी आता है. एक है कि डाइवर्सिफिकेशन, which is being promoted by राजीव मल्होत्रा जी, कि भाई बास्केट को जैसे ज्यूस
Hmm.
लोग बोलते थे
Yeah, yeah,
कि
yeah.
भाई दोनों तरफ रखते हैं, ताकि अगर कोई पार्टी चला भी जाए, अगर
Political
रिपब्लिकन भी
leverage.
आ
Yeah.
जाए, इसराइल को सपोर्ट मिले. उसको फॉलो करके फिर अमेरिकन हिंदू संगठनों ने क्या बनाया कि ठीक है, रिपब्लिकन में भी हम लोग पार्टिसिपेट करेंगे. दूसरा पॉइंट जो है, इट इज एक्चुअली वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट, इट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम द वेरी डीप सीडेड इनहेरेंट रेसिज्म ऑफ द हिंदूज टुवर्ड्स द ब्लैक, जो गांधी ने भी किया था. कि हम we cannot identify, we should not and we do not identify with the blacks
I don't think
because
it's
वो काले
racism.
हैं.
I don't think.
हाँ,
I think.
लेकिन हम लोग we can aspire to be a little bit of white. ये जो
Yeah.
एटीट्यूड है.
No, but that is like I think even what's the name?
But
Niranjan makes it very
मतलब
clear. There's no
the
incentive.
only historic fact which is common between black and the Hindus is that कि they both were enslaved, colonized, genocided and ridiculed for centuries. So
No, but
black and Hindus, they form natural ally and
no, but
interesting
that is
understanding.
that is only true in some places. So, for example, you take it the Caribbean. Thomas Sowell documents this very well. In the Caribbean, we were not natural allies. They were the so-called upper class, and we were the lower class in the Caribbean because we were
नहीं,
used. We
कैरिबियन,
were
मैं
used
यूएस
for.
के से बात कर रहा हूँ. यूएस नहीं, सी कैरिबियन में भी क्या हुआ था, स्लेव ट्रेड के थ्रू दोनों पार्टी गए थे ना. अब हिंदुओं का पावर नहीं है, पॉलिटिकल पावर नहीं है, फिजिकल पावर, तो वो ऐसे रह गए.
No, no, but they
यूएस
were the
में क्या
ones
है.
working the farms. They were the ones
हाँ,
working. Indians were the ones working the farms. The blacks were in the cities and
मैं
enjoying
फिर
the
से यूएस
cultural
को बोल रहा
capital.
हूँ. यूएस
US.
के स्ट्रक्चर में हिंदुओं का एक अच्छा खासा एक मतलब स्टेटस है. सो दैट्स व्हाई दे थिंक कि भाई हम लोग तो, क्योंकि हमारे पास अब ज्यादा पैसा आ गया है, वी कैन नॉट बी नेचुरली अलाइव विद द ब्लैक. बट मैं बोल रहा हूँ इन टर्म्स ऑफ इफ यू वांट टू डू गुड पॉलिटिक्स, यू अलाइव विद द ब्लैक्स बिकॉज यू गाइज आर द नेचुरली अलाइज. ठीक है.
No,
पिछला कमेंट क्या था बुद्धिज्म को लेके.
which one? Oh, Dalrymple के बारे में. No, I think
Yes,
it's a little bit more complex in the American system in terms of politics. We have to create our own lane. Our own lane. Like the Filipinos have
एग्जैक्टली.
created their own lane. Indians have to create their own lane.
राइट.
It's very good. Japanese have created their own lane. Indians have to create their own, especially Hindus have to create their own lane. They cannot be
राइट.
left or right. And I'm glad because my biggest criticism of Hindu American society, Hindu HAF, Hindu American Foundation, was they took the democratic lane. They should have not stayed stuck. They finally rejected this dichotomy of left versus right, and they said they've created their own lane. This is what they need to do. They need to create their own lane and do activism from the perspective of the community, not from the
राइट.
perspective of politics.
एग्जैक्टली.
That's the only way it's going to work.
एग्जैक्टली.
So
हिंदू इंडिया में भी वही कर रहा है ना. हिंदू इंडिया में भी वही कर रहा है कि बीजेपी के चमचेदारी कर. अरे बीजेपी क्या कर रहे हैं, क्या फर्क पड़ता है.
yeah.
You talk about philosophy, you talk about the fundamental structure and the superstructures that are there. वो बीजेपी अपने आप लाइन में आ जाएगा. तुम बोल रहे हो मोदी मोदी करके हिंदू हृदय सम्राट, जरूरी नहीं है भाई.
जरूरी नहीं है.
जरूरी नहीं है.
सबको मोदी के आइडिया में फ्रेम करना है. And that's another problem I have with the current politics. Is like there's something is not even related to Modi के perspective से frame करना है.
हाँ.
It suits the opposition, it suits the BJP, both को suit करता है. ये मोदी के frame में करना है. It's not everything is not about Modi. Something is about a cultural discussion that goes beyond Modi ji. You know,
और
to me that is
यूएस और
the
यूरोप में अगर हिंदू वो सुपर स्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट करना चाहता है, सो वो पेगनिज्म के थ्रू कर सकता है. मतलब द टिपिकल, आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि ये जो नेचुरल मोरालिटी है, जिसको मैं
no,
पेगनिज्म
कर
बोल
रहे
रहा हूँ, स्लॉपी
कर
वे.
रहे कर भी रहे हैं.
हाँ. सो अलाइन योरसेल्फ विद द यूरोपियन एंड अमेरिकन पेगनिज्म. और
Correct.
वो पेगनिज्म और नेचुरल मोरालिटी को बढ़ाओ और
उसका
लोगों के
नाम क्या है?
पास अपना
There's a
गॉस्पेल
group actually.
पहुंचाओ।
उसका नाम क्या है? एक इंडिक ग्रुप है जो it works with Greek pagans, druids, वो उनके साथ वर्क कर रहा है to bring back their traditions.
हम्म,
हो रहा है actually.
You are talking about Project Kailash.
नहीं, इंडिक समथिंग, एक मिनट। अरे
No,
उनका
there is a Project Kailash where in North America specifically, so you have six Buddhists, Hindus,
नहीं
Jains
नहीं
all coming together. Yeah,
नहीं,
so this Dalrymple shenanigans, correct? So, like, how shameless people are. Like, I literally sometimes think, like, are we doing something wrong by being honest? I literally think that correct. There is no incentive to be honest with yourself or with the others. How shameless
are
a
you saying
person
that?
can be. See this Dalrymple guy. You have this correct comment. Dalrymple has suddenly discovered Buddhism as India's greatest export after building a career on medieval dark ages of Hindu genocide as the best thing that India had seen. He was 5 years ago. He was telling that the Mughals were the greatest rulers of India. Whatever Indian culture we have is because of Mughals. Everything is Mughal and Mughal. Now he
again
is gone. Yeah, go ahead.
there is a reason why this happened, because again understand the way academia in India worked was it worked through patronage, not through research. So for example, you didn't study because you studied because someone patronized a particular topic and you just research on that topic, right? You didn't study because you're interested in something. He studied Mughal India because there was money in Mughal India. Like he makes jokes about his wife said, "You're writing another book about Mughals." Because there was money, keep coming. Oh, you write another book about Mughal, write another book about Mughal, write about book Mughal. She kept writing on that.
Wait. I understand that, but correct. You have Abbas Maldiya writing a book on Mughals, correct? So how come Abbas Maldiya can find something which he cannot find?
That's what I'm saying. No, that's the biggest criticism of
It
people like
means
Dalrymple is that
it means he is not doing any research. He is just taking money and writing whatever he's told. That's
so
simple. And
he's definitely doing research. He's definitely doing research. But I'm saying his research
what
is
research
focused
he's
on his
doing?
he did a lot of interesting research on the Mughals. For example, a lot of the things
Uh,
about the structures he's clearly mentioned about everything about the Mughals. He didn't hide
what
anything. Anyway,
what? No. Uh, See, if I am writing about Mughals and if I am not writing about the atrocities, the skulls, mountain of skulls that Mughals have created, then what research I am doing?
your patron
No,
won't
no,
give you
that's the
money then.
point. So they get
Exactly,
initially no.
exactly. I'm talking
Initially they
about.
were
So he is
funded.
not doing research.
Initially they were funded for writing, for example, Mughal economics. Now, when Irfan Habib is writing Mughal economics, what Alauddin Khilji, for example, so he is not writing about कि he said कि अच्छा अलाउद्दीन खिलजी ने राशनिंग चालू किया था। नाउ अगर इस तरह से अगर हिस्ट्री लिखते हो तो तुम क्या छुपाते हो? व्हाट यू आर हाइडिंग इज लाइक अलाउद्दीन खिलजी मतलब जो किसानों से इतना ज्यादा मतलब लगभग सारा जो ग्रेन है फूड ग्रेन है वो कलेक्ट करके डालना चालू किया था कि आई थिंक उसके 12 या 17 साल बाद आई थिंक एक दूसरा ये आया था अपना अरब या टर्क से एक पर्यटक आया था जिसको ये दिख गया था कि अलाउद्दीन खिलजी कब तक मर चुके हैं 15-20 साल हो गया है लेकिन उसने जो ग्रेन कलेक्ट किया था वो अभी भी भंडार में मौजूद है और लोग इधर फेमिन में मर रहे हैं सो मतलब
Gandakata.
लिखो हाँ तो लिखो और ऐसे लिखो कि यू राइट द हाफ ट्रूथ you ignore certain facts you don't
Yep.
write about the sort of the policy that guided those sort of economic structures किस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से वो बंदा चीजों को बना रहा है उसको मत दिखाओ ये जावेद अख्तर भी बोलता रहता है कि आपको पता करना है कि लगाना है कि अलाउद्दीन खिलजी ने क्या किया था राइट मतलब वो बोलता है ना अलाउद्दीन खिलजी का भी उसने बोला था तो हुआ तो ये था ना कि अलाउद्दीन खिलजी इतना एट्रोशियस था कि वो हिंदुओं से खाना छीन लेता था ताकि इसको कन्वर्ट होना पड़े, ताकि इसके घर की लड़कियों को अपने सुल्तान के वहां बैठक खाना में आना पड़े और नाचना पड़े। देयर पॉलिसी वाज कि हिंदू जो लड़कियां हैं उनको ये नचनिया बना दो। दैट वाज लिटरली द पॉलिसी ऑफ खिलजी। लेकिन वो नहीं बोलेगा, बोले नहीं, अलाउद्दीन खिलजी ने राशनिंग चालू किया था और पता नहीं क्या क्या मुद्रा चालू किया था, वो किया था। सो दे ट्राई टू टॉक अबाउट इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी सो दैट वी डोंट गेट टू नो व्हाट वाज एक्चुअली गोइंग ऑन, व्हाट सॉर्ट ऑफ मतलब cultish thing was going on that led to 1,000 years, again 800 year of Gana Sanghar, right?
No, but another interesting thing you'll observe, when Europeans wrote Roman history, right? They wrote Roman history in detail. Means they wrote about which colonies were held directly. They wrote about which colonies rebelled regularly. They wrote
Hmm.
about which parts the Romans could barely hold. They wrote about the genocide of Romans by invaders. Everything they wrote. They wrote about the Romans genociding invaders. Everyone they wrote. Everything they wrote. But if you look at in India, when you read Mughal history, even Mughal history took so many years to write. They do
Right,
not acknowledge that the Mughals barely held territory. They kept
right,
losing it.
right.
This narrative that all the many Indian Muslims keep believing, oh हमने राज किया है आप पर, भूल जाते हैं कि मुगल्स, it is epic and flowing. हर
Right.
बार कॉन्कर करते थे, हर बार 10 साल में अगेन दैट प्लेस विल रिबेल एंड वापस लूज कंट्रोल, वापस आ जाते, वापस इन्वेड करते रहते नॉन स्टॉप. इफ यू ऑब्जर्व वेरी इंटरेस्टिंगली, बिलो द लाइन ऑफ एमपी के थोड़े नीचे से, फ्रॉम एमपी लिटिल लोअर, they barely held the territory. They kept
हाँ,
losing it. Every few years they kept losing the territory. The
right.
Nawabs of the
और
region were the
जब
ones
आया
running the
तब
territory.
और जब आया तब गाड़ दिया, शिवाजी ने गाड़ दिया बेसिकली।
I
एक
think
बार
forget
आया।
about Shivaji.
हाँ।
For Shivaji was the last one. Before that also non-stop Hindu kings are kicking them out.
नहीं
वो
नहीं,
एक
एक
होता ना,
एक ही मुगल किंग आया ना जो इतना नीचे आया कि डेक्कन तक जाके देखते हैं,
अरे वो
अदरवाइज
भी
आया था।
आया और चला गया. He couldn't do anything
वही
beyond
तो
that.
बोल रहा हूँ, उसको गाड़ दिया, खत्म कर दिया उसे। एक ही बंदा आया था एंड दैट एक्चुअली वो वापस नहीं, दिल्ली ही नहीं जा पाया। तो दिल्ली में
और
पता नहीं
और
चल रहा है
और
कि औरंगजेब इधर मर गया है,
और
बेसिकली
उनको
ये चल रहा है
टेरिटरी
ना।
भी देखो, उनका टेरिटरी भी देखो. वो आर्मी भेजते थे, मेनी हिंदू किंग्स लाइक हाँ आ जाइए, वो आर्मी छोड़ देते थे, एक एक 2 साल ट्रिब्यूट देते थे, कैंसिल कर देते थे ट्रिब्यूट्स के बाद,
राइट।
वापस आर्मी को आना पड़ता था हर बार. हेलो
ये एक अच्छा
आप.
क्वेश्चन है। This is a good question.
Okay.
If Iranian
Yes, yes.
Muslims can acknowledge these atrocities by Arabs and Turks that led to their forces and conversion, then why can't we? And how can we be so deracinated? See,
ईरानी
ईरान में क्या
मुस्लिम्स
हुआ?
करते हैं,
हाँ,
ईरानी मुस्लिम्स एक्नॉलेज करते हैं कि ईरान क्रिश्चियंस एक्नॉलेज
no,
करते
no,
हैं.
they will
No, no, no.
acknowledge. They will acknowledge because see, Iranian Muslim, first of all, they are Shia Muslim. So just by claiming this, they claim the Shia victimhood politics.
हाँ,
कि
अली के नाम पर.
कि जो ये किया था, ये एक्चुअली हमारे ऊपर तो अत्याचार हुआ था, हम तो पैगंबर के लीनियज से आते हैं। सो वहां पे जो है वो तो पूरा कन्वर्ट हो गया। अब वहां पे जो जो फैक्शनल जो स्ट्रगल होता है, जो जंग चलता रहता है कबीले के बीच, वो उधर चल रहा है। यहाँ पे एक्नॉलेज इसलिए नहीं करते क्योंकि फिर जो 5% 10% अशराफ है इंडिया में, जो एक्चुअली पूरा इंडियन मुस्लिम पॉलिटिकल नैरेटिव को पूरा ही कंट्रोल करता है, वो खोने का डर होगा। सी, ये जो अशराफ जो अरब और टर्क से इंडिया आए थे, तो उनका तो जो पुण्य भूमि है, कोट अनकोट, इफ पुण्य इज अ वर्ड दैट कैन बी अप्लाइड टू इस्लामिज्म, तो उनका जो पुण्य भूमि है वो तो मक्का मदीना और टर्क वहाँ ऑटोमन एम्पायर की उधर है।
नो बट ये वो वाला
तो
तर्क भी नहीं है.
नो,
ये
लेट मी
वो वाला
कंप्लीट।
टर्क भी
वो
नहीं है.
वाला टर्क भी नहीं है।
ये सेंट्रल
मैं बोल
एशियन
रहा हूँ,
टर्क है.
एटलीस्ट बोलते हैं ना कि वी आर महमूद द टू जो है, वो जिस तरह से इस्तांबुल को कब्जा किए थे, हम लोग फिर से दिल्ली में कब्जा करेंगे। दैट इज देयर एटीट्यूड ना, कि उनके लिए जो पुण्य भूमि है वो एक हिसाब से इस्तांबुल है, क्योंकि वहां महमूद द सेकंड ने वो जो हाया सोफिया उस
खलीफा.
पे कब्जा किया। हाँ, ना द पॉइंट इज, इसलिए क्योंकि ये पुण्य भूमि नहीं है, इसलिए यहाँ का जो स्ट्रगल है, अशराफी जो स्ट्रगल है, वो एक्चुअली एक्चुअली पॉलिटिकल स्ट्रगल है। इसमें कहीं पे भी मतलब रिलीजियोसिटी बहुत कम है, एंड दे कैन नॉट एक्नोलेज दिस थिंग, क्योंकि फिर अशराफ को फिर पसमानदा पूछने लगेगा, कि पसमानदा बोलने लगेगा कि हमारे साथ तो डबल जेनोसाइड हुआ है, हिंदुओं का आपने फिजिकल जेनोसाइड किया है कि, लेकिन हिंदुओं का कल्चर अभी भी इंटैक्ट है, वो लोग जो मना रहे हैं मना पा रहे हैं। पसमानदा का फिजिकल जेनोसाइड हुआ और कल्चरल जेनोसाइड हुआ। सो सो ऑब्वियसली अशराफ इंडिया में 5 से 10% है, और वो इसी डर से जीते हैं, और इसी डर से वो पसमानदाओं को कंट्रोल करके रखते हैं, तो इसलिए ये सब
पसमंदा
बात
का
नहीं करते।
आइडेंटिटी ही नहीं है,
एग्जैक्टली,
पसमंदा का आइडेंटिटी ही नहीं है। दे आर फंडामेंटली पीपल विथ नो फंडामेंटल, नो कोर आइडेंटिटी।
रिप्रेजेंटेशन, हाँ,
नहीं, आइडेंटिटी नहीं है उनका। कल्चर
आइडेंटिटी नहीं,
क्या है?
राइट
if
राइट।
example you take away the local, so lot
दे
of the
डोंट नो,
person,
दे डोंट नो अबाउट देयर ओन होली स्क्रिप्चर, मतलब वो जो
वही तो
कुरान
बोल,
लिखा है उसका
forget
लैंग्वेज भी पता
forget
नहीं
about
है
holy
उसे।
scripture, forget about holy scripture. What is the
उर्दू भी
first
हिंदी
way
में
of,
पढ़ते हैं, उर्दू
अरे
का
एक
जो
मिनट,
स्क्रिप्चर है वो हिंदू है, मतलब हिंदी
लेट्स
है।
कम दैट लेटर। मैं आपको स्टेप बाय स्टेप जाता हूँ कैसे उनका कल्चर जेनोसाइड हुआ है, आइडेंटिटी का डिस्ट्रक्शन हुआ है, राइट? उनका पहले
राइट,
जब वो कन्वर्ट हुए थे, उनका कलर कन्वर्ट हुए थे, दे कन्वर्टेड फ्रॉम सर्टेन ट्राइब्स और कम्युनिटीज, राइट? जब कन्वर्ट हुए थे पहले, इन द बिगिनिंग दे वर कन्वर्टेड जस्ट बाय, आप कलमा पढ़ो हो गया, आप अपना ट्रेडिशंस कंटिन्यू करो, right? Then this wave of Salafization came. They rejected that identity. उनका कल्चरल, लोकल कल्चरल ट्रेडिशंस जो थे वो रिजेक्ट कर दिए उन्होंने, टू गेट टू द लार्जर ग्रुप, राइट?
राइट
उसके
राइट।
बाद अब उनको लाइक दे नॉट इवन जेनेटिकली और फ्रेमवर्क कर दे, बोलते हैं कि आप उम्मा के ग्रुप हो, but at the same time suddenly they start realizing that the Arabic Muslims or Turkic Muslims, African Muslims उनसे जमते नहीं है। उनको बोलते हैं आप
बिकॉज
कन्वर्टेड हो,
दीज आर
आप हमारे,
अजमीज, अजमी है ना ये लोग, अजमी है, दे आर
करेक्ट।
नॉट अरबी, दे आर अजमी।
सो अब वो भी नहीं है, वो यूनिफाइड आइडेंटिटी, इस्लामिक आइडेंटिटी भी नहीं है।
हम्म,
फाइनली जब आप दूसरे कम्युनिटी, आपके ओरिजिनल कम्युनिटी ग्रुप्स देखोगे जो अपने एरिया में है, दे हैव कल्चर, यू हैव नो कल्चर,
राइट
and you're basically a slave to the Ashraf. So it's a
राइट
triple whammy। उनका देखो, ट्रिपल whammy है उनका, and it is the
राइट,
worst situation for anyone to be in, like the worst situation। यही
एग्जैक्टली।
क्रिश्चियनिटी में यही होता है। What do they do in the नॉर्थ ईस्ट? नॉर्थ ईस्ट में यही किया उन्होंने क्या
नॉर्थ
किया?
ईस्ट वैशाली दी जो बोल रहे हैं ना, इसके थ्रू ये रेफरेंस देते हैं ना, वो भी बांग्लादेशी जो जो ट्विटर में चल रहा है, बांग्लादेशी जो व्हाट एवर मिस यूनिवर्स
यस,
और व्हाट एवर जो है, सरस्वती का वो जो पूरा इमेजरी है उसको लेके आगे बढ़ रही है। अरे भाई
अरे
तुम
नो,
बुरखा पहन के जाओ ना यार, यू गो टू अ फैशन शो वेयरिंग बुरखा, दैट
अरे
इज
forget
योर
about
प्राइड
that,
ना।
they think that she's right, they think they're Turkish, they think वो टर्क से आते हैं, बट टेक्निकली उनका जेनेटिक्स वो नहीं है, बट सोचते हैं टर्क से जेनेटिक्स है।
अरे कुछ भी हो, इफ इफ योर कल्चर इज बुरखा ना, so wear a burqa and go to that walk on the ramp na, you walk on the ramp wearing burqa।
नो, बट वो नहीं है उनका कल्चर, वो अरेबिक कल्चर है। वही तो बोल रहा
पता नहीं,
हूँ,
बांग्लादेश
उनका
बोलता है ना कि
कल्चर
इस्लाम है,
जेनोसाइड।
हमारा इस्लाम है, ये है वो है, बोलता है ना कि हमारा अरे बुरखा हिजाब तो इसमें है ना भाई, हिजाब कुरान में है।
नहीं, हिजाब नहीं है,
हिजाब,
बट
नो हिजाब कुरान में है, हिजाब कुरान में है
हाँ, बट
कि
इंटरप्रेट कर सकते हैं।
हिजाब का जो हिजाब किस लिए आया उसका जो हिस्टोरिकल इंटरप्रिटेशन है वो सही अल बुखारी में है। बट हिजाब की कि यू मतलब जो लड़के हैं वो अपना नजर नीचे कर ले, और
या
लड़कियां जो है वो एक वेल के थ्रू खुद को ढक के रखे, ये तो ये तुम्हारा कल्चर ये इस्लामिक है ना,
ये
तुम
सब
बुरखे के थ्रू उसको इम्प्लीमेंट कर रहे हो ना, तो बुरखा पहन के जाओ ना भाई, तुम सरस्वती बन के क्यों जा रहे हो, दिस इज योर प्राइड ना, योर प्राइड इज इन कुरान, कि कुरान
स्किज़म है।
हमारा ये है वो है पता नहीं क्या है, अल्लाह अकबर है ना, तो तुम वो
करो,
पहन के जाओ, तुम
बहुत
बुरखा पहन के
कंफ्यूज
फैशन
है,
शो में जाओ। What
बहुत
kind of,
कंफ्यूज
again the talking about the schism, what kind of schism is this कि तुम
है।
बुरखा पहन के रैंप में वॉक नहीं कर सकते,
अरे वो कर रहे हैं
तुम
ना,
बोल,
वो बुर्किनी बुर्किनी स्विमिंग सूट।
आई डोंट केयर, स्किज्म नहीं होगा ना उसमें कि आई बिलीव इन दिस, दिस इज माय आइडेंटिटी, आई एम गोना वॉक ऑन द रैंप। भाई तुम वो हिजाब पहन के तुम कुश्ती वुश्ती लड़ रहे हो, तो फैशन शो भी उसी से कर लो।
they went from tent to seal, टेंट से सील हो गए पानी में, सील, सील जैसे।
No, they don't know what talks are. They think they
हाँ,
control it. Look at their
अरे
skin
वो
color.
most people in
Indians.
India do not know what a Turk is. तो Turkic tribes लोग नहीं जानते because they think
हाँ,
Khilji, they think Akbar all look like Indians. When
अरे
technically they look like Chinese लोग. Like
नो नो, टर्क्स ऑल्सो डोंट नो कि हु दे आर. अभी का जो टर्क है उनको भी पता नहीं वो कौन है. अभी मंगोलिया या उज्बेकिस्तान यहाँ से एक बंदा बोल रहा था, व्हाई आर यू शोइंग आवर कल्चर. तुम मंगोलिया से अभी एक वीडियो आया था
मंगोलिया में
कि तुम हमारे
उज्बेकिस्तान में
कल्चर को टर्की कल्चर बोल के क्यों चला रहे हो. ठीक है, दे आर वेरी
मंगोलिया.
पिस्ड कि भाई व्हाट काइंड ऑफ. तो टर्की का खुद का कल्चर नहीं है भाई.
हाँ तो वो
वो
टर्की
कौन सा कल्चर देगा हमें.
टर्की इज वेस्ट एशिया ना. टर्की यहाँ साइड पे है. ही इज
हाँ,
बेसिकली एशिया माइनर बियॉन्ड ईरान
एग्जैक्टली.
इराक वहाँ साइड पे है. ये वेस्ट एशिया है और ये सेंट्रल एशिया यहाँ है साइड पे इस साइड पे है और दोनों को
एग्जैक्टली.
कंपेट करते रहते हैं लोग. आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड ये क्या नॉनसेंस है.
तो टर्क का भी पता नहीं है कि वो कहाँ से आए थे,
अरे
कहाँ गए थे, क्या किए
अरे
थे.
लोग नहीं जानते कि ये अलादीन का स्टोरी चाइना से आया. सब सोचते हैं अरब स्टोरी है ये. लाइक कैसे लोग हैं भाई. वो लोग नहीं जानते शहजादा अरब नहीं थी वो पर्शियन थी. जो
राइट, राइट.
1001 नाइट्स का स्टोरी लिखे हैं.
इनके इस्लाम के कल्चर के नाम पे सिर्फ वो झूठे मतलब वही कहानियां है, और
अरे
कुछ नहीं है.
सब कंफ्यूज
कुछ नहीं
करके
है.
रखे. दे डोंट नो दैट हाफ द
सारे,
स्टोरीज इन.
इवन क्रिश्चियनिज्म और इस्लाम सारे देख लो, जितने स्ट्रक्चर वक्चर आर्ट देख लो, सारे पेगन कल्चर है.
सब
ठीक है,
कुछ है.
सारे
वही
नेटिव कल्चर के. ये जितने भी ये सिर्फ इनको बुक लिखना और स्क्रिप्चर लिखना आता है. इनको आर्ट क्रिएट करना आता नहीं है, प्रोपागेंडा क्रिएट करना आता है. बट एक आर्ट क्रिएट करना वो इस कल्चर को नहीं आता है. मतलब जस्ट इमेजिन किस तरह यूरोप में जो मॉडर्न आर्ट और पेंटिंग किस जगह पे लेके गया. मतलब ठीक है, पिकासो तक से अभी जो एब्सर्डिज्म आ गया है जस्ट टू सेल, कि मैं कुछ मतलब बतूलेबाजी कर दूंगा और एक ब्लैंक कैनवस को भेज दूंगा, या फिर ब्लैंक कैनवस में एक केला चिपका दूंगा,
बट
एंड यू आर
इवन
कॉलिंग
द
इट आर्ट.
even the Enlightenment art, Renaissance art doesn't come from a space of religion. It comes from a space
एग्जैक्टली.
of pagan. क्या बोलते हैं? I don't know how do I explain it. कैसे बोले?
फॉर्म, द वेरी फॉर्म इज पेगन यार.
नहीं,
मतलब
it's a
जिस तरह से बॉडी को
Greco-Roman style of painting. वो भी जब आप वो
जेंटाइल बोलता है ना.
I don't know उनका टर्मिनोलॉजी मैं जानता नहीं भैया. I
तो
don't read their terminology
दे
much.
दे डोंट हैव. मतलब अभी वही है कि जैसे क्रिश्चियन या फिर इस्लामिक जो बुक है, वो दे विल राइट 1000 पेज जस्ट इन सपोर्ट ऑफ अ लाई. वो उस तरह से फिर मॉडर्न जो आर्ट और स्कल्पचर और पेंटिंग वो उसी तरह चला गया है कि आई विल कीप ए ब्लैंक कैनवस एंड आई विल से 1000 वर्ड्स अबाउट इट कि व्हाट इट एक्चुअली इज, फिर उसको मैं बेच दूंगा. सो
No, हम भी मिस्टेक करते हैं ना. हम भी मिस्टेक करते हैं. हम लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल टेक ताजमहल. वी से इस्लामिक कंस्ट्रक्शन इस्लामिक डिजाइन. लाइक नहीं, वो मिक्स है ऑफ सेंट्रल एशियन स्टाइल्स एंड इंडियन स्टाइल्स. वो
अच्छा,
फ्यूजन है.
सेंट्रल एशियन स्टाइल में मैं और एक बात बोल देता हूँ, ये बाबरनामा में है और मैंने अपने बुक में कोट भी किया है. बाबर
सेंट्रल
लिख
एशियन
रहा है
पेगन
कि
एंड इंडियन हिंदू.
नो नो,
लाइक
लेट मी कंप्लीट. बाबर ये लिखता है कि वो जहां से आया था बुखारा समरकंद, तो वहां पे कोई ऐसे स्ट्रक्चर नहीं था. सो व्हाट ही डिड, ही कैप्चर्ड हिंदू आर्टिसंस, enslaved them, and he sent them to बुखारा समरकंद टू मेक दो स्ट्रक्चर जो हमें अभी दिखता है ना बुखारा समरकंद में. तो बुखारा समरकंद का जो स्ट्रक्चर्स है आप दिखा सकते हो भूपेंद्र, वो सारे हिंदू आर्टिसन से बनाया हुआ है. और उसमें कुछ कुछ जगह स्वस्तिका दिख जाएगा आपको. और स्वस्तिका इसीलिए दिखेगा क्योंकि वो हिंदू आर्टिसन काम कर रहे थे. ठीक है. सो इवन मिडिल ईस्ट का जो, and वो बाबर लिख रहा है कि इनके आर्टिसन बेहतर है, ये है, आई डोंट. वो ये भी लिख रहा है कि आई डोंट लव इंडिया, बहुत फ्लैट कंट्री है, ये है वो है. बट मैंने इनको कैप्चर किया और मैंने भेजा है ताकि वो उधर स्कल्पचर क्रिएट कर सके, आर्ट आर्ट क्रिएट कर सके. ठीक है. सो जो तुम बोल रहे हो कि बुखारा समरकंद का आर्किटेक्चर टर्की में गया है, बुखारा आर्किटेक्ट समरकंद का आर्किटेक्चर इधर से गया है भाई, बाबर ने भेजा है. ठीक है.
what dome stuff, with all the dome styles and all. Fundamentally, you should understand, it's not Islamic in nature. It is the
एग्जैक्टली.
local styles. उनका लेके वो बनाते हैं. there's nothing.
राजपूत लोग कब से बना रहे हैं,
हाँ,
राजस्थान में
exactly.
राजपूत डोम कब से बना रहा है. बेसिकली यहाँ पे जो मुगल आर्किटेक्चर नाम से बेचा जाता है ना, इट इज एक्चुअली अ मिक्स ऑफ द ईरानियन एंड राजपूत आर्किटेक्चर. राजस्थान जाओगे सारे हिंदू जगह इससे भरा हुआ है,
No, but
इस तरह के आर्किटेक्चर.
all this detailed designs. Now, this is a
ये जो समरकंद का
very
ये जो
Persian thing.
स्ट्रक्चर है, वो जो ऊपर जो दिखा रहे हैं पूरा एरिया, ये सारा हिंदुओं का बनाया हुआ है.
Yeah,
और ये
but it's very
बाबरनामा में
Persian
लिखा
though.
हुआ है. यू कैन नॉट
Very
डिनाई
Persian though.
दिस.
It's very Persian though. It's very Iraq, Iran, old Sumeria style. ये सब
और
वहाँ होता है.
बट उनको बोला गया होगा कि इस स्टाइल में बनाओ, तो वो बनाए होंगे. द पॉइंट
Yeah,
इज
yeah.
बाबर इज राइटिंग इट इन बाबरनामा तुझू की बाबरी
हाँ, but
कि
this,
भाई
my
मैंने
fundamental
देखा.
point is ये इस्लामिक नहीं है. Like उनके बुक्स में कुछ नहीं है इसके.
ये
उनके
लग सकता है इस्लामिक है. दिस इज जस्ट द रीजनल
yes,
natural sort of evolution of their architecture.
exactly.
Islam has nothing to do with it. सीधी सी
उन,
बात है.
उनके बुक में होना चाहिए भाई. अगर ये इतना ये
Right.
इस्लामिक है तो उनकी बुक में होना चाहिए. ऐसे कट करो,
Right.
ऐसे कट, कुछ नहीं है भाई.
Exactly. Exactly. इनके पास सारे मतलब ये it started everything started with astronomy calendar. ठीक है. जब
वो स्पिनिंग वाला करते हैं ना, वो बोलते रहते हैं इस्लामिक डांस है. अबे अगर इस्लामिक डांस है तो बाकी बुक्स में नहीं, क्यों नहीं है भाई? क्यों नहीं लिखा ऐसे 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 करना है भगवान के लिए, ऐसे स्पिन करना है? लिखा है कहीं कहीं एक भी बुक में लिखा है? नहीं है. वो लोकल ट्रेडिशन से बना है, उसको अडेप्ट करके फिलोसफी रिलीजन के लिए यूज किया है और उसको इस्लामिक बना दिया. लेकिन
टर्की को सिर्फ वो आइसक्रीम बेचना आता है, वैसे घुमा घुमा के.
अरे 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 वो बोलते हैं ओ इस्लामिक साइंस इज अलजेब्रा. अबे
इस्लामिक
मूर्ख.
फूड,
अरे
इस्लामिक
मूर्ख.
फूड है ना.
अरे नहीं, इस्लामिक साइंस इज अलजेब्रा. ये वेरी मैं वेस्टर्न
बिदत
वेस्टर्न
इज हराम
साइंटिफिकली
इन
बोलते हैं.
इस्लाम.
हाँ?
बिदत और इनोवेशन इज हराम इन इस्लाम.
वही तो बोल रहा हूँ. Forget about innovation. The reason why you take Al-Khwarizmi, he may be a Muslim in Arabia or in Persia at that time, जब वो ये सब किया था. That doesn't mean he got a source from Islam. He got it from his study, personal. उसका personal interest था ये सब. It's like saying Abdul Kalam is.
नेचुरल मोरालिटी, सीधी सी
It's
बात
like
है.
tomorrow अब्दुल कलाम को बोलेंगे इस्लामिक रॉकेट साइंटिस्ट. इस्लाम ने
Dance is
बनाया
haram in
रॉकेट.
Islam, right?
रॉकेट
Dancing is haram in
इस्लाम
Islam.
ने रॉकेट बनाया बिकॉज अब्दुल कलाम वर्कड ऑन रॉकेटरी. ये क्या नॉनसेंस है बड़ी. कुछ भी.
नो टीपू सुल्तान ऑल्सो, टीपू सुल्तान पे भी चलता है ये.
अरे
हाँ.
बोलते टीपू सुल्तान द मुस्लिम्स क्रिएटेड द मैसूर रॉकेट. नहीं भाई, लोकल कारीगर ने किया था मैसूर रॉकेट. आपके इस्लाम से नहीं आया वो मैसूर रॉकेट.
Dancing and singing is haram in Islam. Just
अरे
like acting
that's
is haram in
debatable. That's debatable, but okay. नहीं ये
No, no,
नहीं
it
नहीं,
is not
उसका भी
debatable.
उसका भी ये मिल
no,
जाता
it is
है.
debatable. क्योंकि सुन्नी
Debatable
मुल्ला
क्या है?
लोग बहुत
अरे
करते
भाई,
हैं.
उसका हदीत मिल जाता है भाई.
नहीं, you
हदीत
can
means like
you can dance and sing in praise of God. You are allowed to that. Outside of it, you can't.
Anand,
नहीं है भाई.
Anand. See, whatever is not written in the original book, correct? Everything you can refute because that is the only book which has the truth. So if
अरे वो
something is not mentioned in that book, then it doesn't exist. Correct.
ये
Correct.
no true Scotsman fallacy हो जाता है because I fundamentally believe वो book भी incorrect है because 300 years के
No, no.
बाद वो लिखा गया था. 300 births 400 births के
Whatever
उनको
बाद
may
समझाने के
Ottoman
लिए
Caliphate लिखा
उनको.
उन्होंने लिखा था.
no,
So
no, 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 no. Whatever may be the case, if to today just for argument's sake, I believe कि हाँ
हाँ
ठीक है भाई, this is the ultimate book, okay. तो अगर उसमें नहीं है तो बट करेक्ट नहीं है ना.
हाँ हाँ. फिर
Just
अगर सुन्नी लोग एक्सेप्ट डांस, सुन्नी लोगों को एक्सेप्ट करना पड़ता है कि डांस हराम है इस्लाम. सुन्नी लोग हैव टू एक्सेप्ट इट. दे हैव नो ऑप्शन. उनका तो
exactly because it is not mentioned in the correct in the most holiest book. If it's not mentioned, then it doesn't exist.
yeah, correct.
Correct. Because that has answers to everything. So if it's not mentioned there, then it is false.
Correct, that's
Simple ना. कुछ ज़्यादा no need to do a lot of gymnastics.
correct. No, but the problem is we don't have only Sunnis in the world. No, we have Shias, we have क्या बोलते हैं Sufis. वो सब उनको वो भी opposition है सुन्नी के like perspective में. So like you have Bora Muslims. Bora Muslims are not especially Sunni. They are like a unique sect itself. उनका कैसे बोल सकते, वी कांट टेल देम ये सब फॉलो करो, वो बोलेंगे नहीं हम नहीं फॉलो करेंगे, क्या करें इसमें.
See, I have realized in my life, correct? 99% of people have no morality. Somewhere down the line, the only morality we like is something bad that makes a life better.
एनिमल
Khatam.
मोरालिटी, वो क्या बोलते हैं, वो सर्वाइवल मोरालिटी वो.
Whatever. Yeah. The only morality that exists for everybody in the world, that is 99% of the humanity, is that whatever makes their life better, that they will believe and they will see that's correct.
मत्स्य न्याय.
Okay. Everything else is something which is it's to and fro. If it helps me do something better, it makes my life better, I will accept it, or else it doesn't exist. Khatam. Yeah, Rishi,
Yeah, एक क्वेश्चन था, so back to
bolo.
topic.
हाँ.
So Visita, just a question on Saint Augustine. So Tower of God, उनका एक book है ना? So was that a defense from Saint Augustine to the objections of Roman pagans? Because I've heard that that book was written supposedly because there was huge outcry from the pagans, especially after the Vandal invasion of Rome, I think, and those guys were also Christians by then. So
Right.
I wanted to know
So
about
there
this.
are two things
Could
I
you
guess.
tell?
एक तो उस टाइम पे कुछ क्या कुछ ग्नोस्टिसिज्म ऐसा कुछ चल रहा था, ठीक है, जी के बाद ग्नोस्टिसिज्म या नॉस्टिसिज्म जो भी बोलते हैं. तो उसके खिलाफ ऑगस्टिन को आर्ग्यू करना था कि क्रिश्चियनिटी इज बेटर देन दिस वाइल रिटेनिंग सम ऑफ द ग्नोस्टिक वैल्यूज. दूसरा ये था कि ही वाज ओरिजिन, मतलब इन हिज माइंड ही वाज मोर पेगन देन मेनी रोमन नोबल्स, ठीक है. लेकिन वो उस आर्ग्यूमेंट को, जितना भी उसका पेगन नॉलेज था, उसको फिर विथ ऑल दोज पेगन नॉलेज ही स्टार्टेड टू जस्टिफाई क्रिश्चियनिटी, ठीक है. तो यहीं से उसका सारा स्क्रिप्चर निकला है. और रोमन नोवेल्स शायद काफी लोग उसका ये कह के मजाक भी उड़ाते थे कि तुम तो हमसे ज्यादा मतलब पेगन हो भाई, तो तुम ये सब चीजों को, सुपरस्टिशन को जस्टिफाई क्यों कर रहे हो. सो दिस इज व्हाट आई नो अबाउट दिस दिस वर्क एंड अदर वर्क ऑफ ऑगस्टिन एट दैट टाइम. उसके
Yeah,
बाद
Saint
जैसे
Augustine.
ग्नोस्टिसिज्म हो गया, ग्नोस्टिसिज्म आई थिंक फिर एक हिडन रिलीजन, हिडन कल्ट हो गया. तो आई थिंक यूरोप में अभी भी ग्नोस्टिसिज्म और यूएस में भी चलता है ग्नोस्टिसिज्म, बट दे उनका एक सॉर्ट ऑफ क्लोज सोसाइटी चलता है. दे डोंट, मतलब काफी बोला जाता है कि काफी इन्फ्लुएंशियल लोग हैं यूएस और यूरोप में जो एक्चुअली ग्नोस्टिक है, बट दे ओपनली दे से कि, मतलब इन पब्लिक दे से कि दे आर क्रिश्चियंस. हाँ, आनंद कुछ बोल रहे थे.
No, no,
Anand is in mute.
थोड़ा
Yeah,
I'm
go ahead,
just
go ahead.
my camera थोड़ा, my battery is a little low, so I'm just turning on camera. नहीं, so Saint Augustine के बारे में, he used the Christian cult for political motives, because he was seeing that the current pagan religion was not very useful for political control in the Roman Empire. Oh, he understood that it is only this new cult is more what do you call it,
But
useful to
again, this is
control
a
the
Christian
population.
version, by the way.
Hmm?
So this perspective that you are saying itself is a Christian narrative.
It doesn't matter the Christian narrative.
See,
It
no,
is
I tell
proving
you one
true.
fact.
He
I
was
tell you one
successful,
fact.
na?
Roman Empire expanded with paganism. Roman
Yeah, of course.
Empire destroyed during the time of Christianism. It is evident in modern time also. It is Christianism that created the rift and all the
Yes, yes,
world wars and other struggles in Europe.
of course.
रोम रोम जितना भी फैला था, उसका वैल्यू तो अपना उसका पेगन वैल्यू था, ग्रेको रोमन वैल्यू था. उसमें सारे लोग जी रहे थे, एकेडमी चल रहा था, लोग इधर से उधर माइग्रेट कर पा रहे थे. यूरोप को जिसने तोड़ा वो क्रिश्चियनिज्म है, रोमन एम्पायर को जिसने तोड़ा वो क्रिश्चियनिज्म है.
No, but वो wave में था ना. Again, like I said,
ये
this
तो
wave is
कॉन्स्टेंटाइन के लिए
different.
भी कहा जाता है ना. ऑल द क्रिश्चियन हिस्टोरियन दे राइट कि कॉन्स्टेंटाइन द ग्रेट अडॉप्टेड क्रिश्चियनिटी बिकॉज he wanted to unite this fragmented Rome and all these things, right? अभी भी अगर कभी भी यूएस में फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस आता है तो कॉन्स्टेंटाइन द ग्रेट का रेफरेंस लेता है.
Correct, that is true. No, but
तो
lot
वो
of
अगेन वो क्रिश्चियन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है ना.
no, but a lot of criticism. People who criticize Constantine also say he didn't actually believe in Christianity. He used only for political purposes.
राइट,
वो
उसकी
criticism भी
वजह
है.
से. बट इट इज सम सॉर्ट ऑफ अगेन रिफॉर्म्ड क्रिश्चियन व्यू.
Of course.
वही तो बोल
अरे
रहा हूँ. जो
उनका
जो
रिसर्च, उनके
किंवदंतियां है,
रिसर्चर्स तो ऐसे ही लिखते
किंवदंती
हैं ना.
किंवदंती ये बोलता है कि दिस गाय कन्वर्टेड बिकॉज ऑफ सम he killed his own wife because
अरे we
his
don't have
wife
first
had some
party, we don't have
affair with
first
the son and
party
all. So
evidence ना. See, we don't have first party
फर्स्ट
evidence.
नहीं,
Everything is from.
बात ये है कि ये किंवदंती है. किंवदंती शायद काफी हद तक सच हो सकता है. ये किंवदंती फैलता है उसको, और ये फैला मतलब जस्ट इमेजिन ये किंवदंती रह गया है इन ए हार्डकोर क्रिश्चियन सोसाइटी. तो ये कुछ हद तक सही हो सकता है. आई थिंक वी शुड
हो सकता है.
व्हेन टॉकिंग अबाउट ऑल दीज मतलब कार्ड्स ना, वी शुड बिलीव मोर इन द local pagan kingsandis than the narratives promoted by the kings and the emperors.
अरे we can believe, but how do we justify? My point, we need evidence. वही तो प्रॉब्लम है,
जस्टिफाई
एविडेंस
नहीं,
नहीं
हम
है.
लोग रेफर करके कोट करेंगे. बिलीव मतलब we don't know कि what actually happened, but it is very likely कि भाई ये सब क्रिश्चियन नैरेटिव है. we have the right to say कि this is Christian narrative
हाँ हाँ,
and then
वो कर
keep
सकते
saying it. सिंपल बात है.
हैं. वो कर सकते हैं. I agree.
None of their elites really believe, but they know exactly how exactly religions are in controlling masses. Exactly कि लोगों को मतलब नौकर बनाना नैरेटिव का. ठीक है, ये जो जितना सारा एडवर्टाइजमेंट हो गया, पॉलिटिक्स हो गया, नेशन स्टेट का क्रिएशन हो गया, स्लेवरी हो गया, कॉलोनियलिज्म हो गया, इस तरह का मास मोबिलाइजेशन करके फिर एक बड़े तबके को मतलब सर्वाइल कर देना, ये एक्चुअली अब्राहमिज्म का सबसे बड़ा मतलब पावर है. जो जिसके पास जो भी थोड़ा कनिंग हो, ठीक है, एनी कनिंग, एनी सॉर्ट ऑफ मैनिपुलेटिव पर्सन, दे नो द यूटिलिटी ऑफ अब्राहमिज्म.
Correct, but you must be very clear. They have one thing very good about they are very subtly they all have honesty in their like their entertainment. अगर आप देखेंगे, if you observe their entertainment honestly, very critically, right? You'll observe that their clergy have a lot of power in influencing what is क्या बोलते हैं, put out. They have a lot of influence, they have a lot of power, and even when they represent clergy in their entertainment, वो दिखाते हैं कि clergy are powerful. They don't show them as weak.
No, but it
They
promotes
don't-
ना, it promotes Christianism itself.
हाँ, but
क्लेरिटी का जो
हमारा
पीडोफिलिया है वो
प्रॉब्लम
नहीं
है,
दिखाता.
हमारा प्रॉब्लम है, हम जब हम क्रिटिकली देखते नहीं, हम अपने होप, लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल आई हैव नोटिस्ड दिस नैरेटिव. कोई लाइक कोई पॉजिटिव पंडित दिखाएंगे टीवी में,
राइट.
सारे आ जाएंगे, ये सो कॉल्ड व्हाट लाइक क्या बोल रैशनलिस्ट आ जाएंगे, बोलेंगे ये क्यों दिखाया. बट जब
राइट.
लुक एट वेस्टर्न मूवीज, दे डोंट ऑब्जर्व, ओ उन्होंने क्रिश्चियंस को बहुत जो क्लर्जी को बहुत अच्छी तरह से दिखाया है. देयर सम नेगेटिव पोर्ट्रेयल आल्सो, आई एम नॉट डिसएग्री, but majority of the portrayals are positive.
राइट.
तब and not just positive, it's everywhere. If you take a movie 10 times एक father आ जाएगा उस movie में.
राइट.
And हर movie में there will be rarely a movie where there's not a Christian character जो openly preface करता है अपने faith को. Like वो भी Marvel movie में था ना, randomly Thor आके बैठता है और वो बोलते हैं ये गॉड है, then स्टीव रॉजर्स randomly बोलता है एक ही गॉड है. एक ही गॉड है. वहां भी क्रिश्चियनिटी लेके आते हैं.
This is quite a interesting
Right. This is
data that
brilliant. This is brilliant.
socialist.
हाँ.
And one more thing,
Ursuli is writing कि my Middle Eastern friends tell me our theology मतलब Islam ensures 30% which are the lower classes crazy and radical, right? 30% elites are super chalak, unlike our Brahmin Marxist, right? Remaining 40% are too scared to disagree. Exactly.
Correct,
Just
of course.
imagine
and one
मतलब मार्क्सिज्म को आउट ऑफ ऑल पीपल ब्राह्मण ने ज्यादा अडॉप्ट किया है भाई बाकी लोगों से.
वही तो प्रॉब्लम,
नाउ
foolishness
इन आवर
foolishness of
कल्चर,
Brahmin ना.
इन आवर कल्चर जिसे हम लोग शूद्र जो भी कहते हैं, लोअर कास्ट ये कहते हैं, दे आर मोर हिंदू देन एवरेज ब्राह्मण भाई आज के जमाने में.
अरे वही तो प्रॉब्लम है ना. all even the founders of the Indian Constitution, instead of framing the Indic values, उन्होंने
राइट,
straight Western values के जंप कर लिया. और
वही तो आज का
उस
लेक्चर था, आज का लेक्चर तो वही था
और उस
कि हम,
कम्युनिटी में और उस ग्रुप में आई थिंक 3 क्या 4 ब्राह्मण थे.
हाँ, जस्ट
Like,
इमेजिन.
आप you didn't even think
आप
to include some principles from dharma. कुछ कुछ भी एक भी फ्रेमिंग कुछ कुछ नहीं है भाई. ये अगर आप कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में देखेंगे कुछ वही ड्यूटी, वो फंडामेंटल धार्मिक ड्यूटी हमारे पीपल
हिंदू वर्ड नहीं यूज किया गया है, मेजोरिटी यूज किया गया है. Hindu word is missing in our constitution. You have to understand how grave injustice has been done to a country which was colonized for 1,000 years.
एग्जैक्टली. व्हाई गेट इंडिपेंडेंस अगर आपको
जैन यूज
वही
किया गया है,
वही
बुद्धिस्ट
लेना
यूज
है.
किया गया है, हैं? सिख यूज किया गया है, सारा कुछ यूज कर लिया गया है, हिंदू नहीं यूज किया गया है. कोई बाद में कुछ ड्राफ्ट वाफ्ट आया था जहां पे बोला गया है कि ये सारे भी हिंदू हैं, जैसे बुद्धिस्ट, जैन और सिख ये हिंदू हैं, ये एक्नोलेज किया गया बाद में कोई ड्राफ्ट वाफ्ट लाके.
they
कोर
could
कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन
talking
में
about putting
हिंदू वर्ड
Hindu,
मिसिंग है.
they could have put Nastik and Astika. Both Astikas and Nastikas have the same rights in our constitution. ऐसे डाल सकते थे, कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता था वहां ऐसे डालना. But it would have covered everyone. It would have covered the tribals. It would have covered the mainstream. It would have covered the Buddhists. It would have covered the Jains. सबको cover करता था. करता. You
राइट.
apply नहीं किया brain को. Just copy paste the Western framing. सब कुछ एक भी नहीं. Even the First Amendment is like a butchered form of the First Amendment. Western. I don't. I was talking to one of my financial advisor the other day. Okay, मैंने बोला उसको, I hate the Indian Constitution. It makes no bloody sense. The code मुझे they attack
एक
me, but I may follow the Constitution, but I have a right not to like it. Like
एक
जो
चीज जो
हमारा
हिंदू को
duty है
फेवर कर
citizen.
सकता था, ओनली वन, मतलब जो आई थिंक उसका जो फर्स्ट अमेंडमेंट हुआ वो फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच था.
Seriously.
फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच मतलब हिंदुओं को फेवर करता, और उसको फिर कार्टेल कर दिया गया.
The funny part is Ambedkar is the only one who had clarity of thought about
हाँ,
how the constitution should be framed in such a way that
राइट.
Indians have a right to their own beliefs. The foreigner थोपेगा नहीं. Like he's the
अब कोई
most
भी
like
पॉलिटिकल पार्टी करने की हिम्मत नहीं रखेगा यार. वी
exactly.
बिलीव इन कंप्लीट फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच.
I mean, he actually epitomized the fundamentals that the dharmic values believe. Like, I mean, उसको छोड़कर they went to this nonsense. Like,
मतलब एनिमल्स के
या
लिए तो वो हिंदू पर्सपेक्टिव ला सकता था यार, कि 2-3 वो गीता का वो श्लोक कोट कर दो कि विद्या विनय संपन्नी ब्राह्मणी कवि हस्तिनी. हाँ, अम, मैं
living in
बार बार
harmony,
लाइन भूल गया
harmony with nature.
कि जो जो विद्वान जो है वो एक कुत्ता, एक ब्राह्मण, एक गौ और एक हाथी में फर्क नहीं देखता. इतना
Correct.
तो कर देता यार, ये तो बहुत अच्छा कोड है. मतलब इट टॉक्स अबाउट इक्वालिटी, इतना तो
अरे
कर सकते थे.
अरे मैं एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री देखा था. One guy from Karnataka, he made this documentary about vultures in India.
हम्म.
In the past, कितने vultures होते थे? Because we looked at the idea that all species play their role in
राइट.
the food chain, right?
हम्म.
And this has always been true forever, right? Then what
राइट.
happened? We became so materialistic. We started feeding our cows a
हम्म.
drug that started killing vultures,
राइट.
right? Because they were eating the carcasses.
राइट.
We start killing the vultures because if you look at the dharmic system, all of the groups will have to be living peacefully in harmony, right? हमने क्या किया? For our own convenience, materialistic convenience, we sacrifice the vulture. And अब क्या हो रहा है? The increasing rise in diseases because the vultures are not
राइट.
there to eat up all the carcasses and remove all the
कुछ
rabies and
कुछ
everything.
कुछ
All that.
चीज तो इमीडिएटली कर सकते हैं, जैसे अगर रास्ता बना रहे हो तो मतलब मेक श्योर कि यार अच्छे से ज्यादा पेड़ लगाओ. इतना जो हमारे, मैं बार बार बोलता हूँ, इतना सारे सिटीज हैं, टाउन हैं,
Yeah.
तुम पेड़ काट काट के बना रहे हो. मेक श्योर कि यार ज्यादा से ज्यादा पेड़ लगा सको. मतलब दिस इज हार्डकोर हिंदुइज्म भाई. तुम कुछ नहीं करना. तुम एक अयोध्या राम टेम्पल बना रहे हो, पता नहीं कहाँ पे दूर, मतलब कैंपस में अभी थोड़ा ग्रास वास दिख रहा है, बट पेड़ ही नहीं है. ठीक है, तुम काशी का जो कॉरिडोर है वहां जो एक जो अक्षय वृक्ष था, जो बेनियन ट्री था, उसको तुम उखाड़ के फेंक दिया. तो तुम मतलब दिस इज द वेरी एसेंस ऑफ हिंदुइज्म यार, मतलब एक मंदिर को पेड़ के अलावा यू कैन नॉट इवन इमेजिन, और
करेक्ट।
वो गायब कर रहे हो।
मंदिर विदाउट ट्रीज, विदाउट इट्स ओन वेल, कैसे
राइट
हम कैसे कैसे मंदिर बनाते हैं लोग रैंडमली एक
राइट।
जगह में एक
नहीं छोटा मंदिर
आइडिया
ठीक
डाल।
है, बट अगर इतना स्केल पे बड़ा मंदिर बना रहे हो तो ये सब का इंतजाम रखो यार, कि
नो नो बट
बहुत
एवरी
सारा।
मंदिर, नो नो बट सोचो भाई, each मंदिर must have its own water source, it
राइट
must
राइट
have its own tulsi, it must have its oन vriksha, it must have, or else the deity's prayer is not complete. बट हम
राइट।
कैसे कर रहे हैं मटेरियलिज्म के लिए, ओ हमें भगवान के लिए करना है, एक छोटा सा मंदिर बना देंगे, don't provide any of the stuff that the मंदिर requires.
नहीं नहीं, आई आई डिसएग्री विद दैट पार्ट की ठीक है, छोटा मंदिर कोई गरीब बना रहे ठीक है, मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि बड़ा मंदिर बना रहे हो तो
No,
ये।
but उसके लिए सर, उसके
और
लिए
छोटे मंदिर के आसपास
स्पेस
में ये
चाहिए
सब
ना।
रहता है, वृक्ष वृक्ष रहता है।
हाँ वही तो बोल रहा
ठीक है
हूँ, वही तो even the
ना।
छोटे मंदिर had this stuff, मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ
राइट
कुछ,
राइट।
because bhakti was not just about, it's not a transaction, it was a,
एग्जैक्टली।
you literally cared for the person you're
एवरीथिंग,
venerating.
हाँ।
ये ट्रांजैक्शन हो गया भाई अब।
हाँ, विद्या विनय संपन्ने ब्राह्मणी कवी हस्तिनी सुनी चेव शोपाके च पंडिता समदर्शिना। एग्जैक्टली दिस इज द श्लोक।
अरे
कि जो
गुरुकुल, गुरुकुल में schools, you are supposed to have play area, you're supposed to have nature, you're supposed to experience the entire, in a gurukul you experience the entire, you experience the play with animals, जो गुरुकुल में क्यों होते थे, why are they animals, so you understood how to be in sync with nature. सब
राइट।
बच्चे अब क्या है गुरुकुल स्कूल में just you go to box, you study, you go home, that's it, किसी से like mix नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है, एक डर्टी वाला लाइक मार्चिंग एरिया है, बस हो गया. So I know in school I was when I was younger, right? जब मैं बच्चा था in Bangalore इतना जगह था यहाँ, like there was literally like the farms, हम पढ़ते थे farm में जाके पढ़ते थे. Our teacher would take us into the farm, we'll sit there and study in the farms. वो चला गया है, वो सब गया है.
तो वही बात है, अभी बहुत कुछ रह गया,
Okay,
बहुत कुछ भी है।
so okay, so last comment. So if we
हम्म
see, correct, the Bible we're talking about, so correct, the movies, the Book of Eli, where
हम्म।
they have shown Bible which was written by Jefferson, Thomas Jefferson, who is the president.
नहीं, प्रेसिडेंट हुआ था
So
क्या जेफरसन बाद में?
yeah, he was the president, correct?
हाँ, जेफ
Anand,
फर्स्ट प्रेसिडेंट
third
वाज
president,
दिस गाय, वॉशिंगटन, जॉर्ज वॉशिंगटन।
so
उसके बाद
third
में
Jefferson,
and
वो।
correct,
then
correct,
Thomas.
he-
हम्म।
correct.
बट ही रोट द
Thomas
कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, ही वाज वन ऑफ द
Correct. He
फादर
wrote
ऑफ।
the Constitution. Also, he actually rewrote the Bible, which is
Yep.
which is called a Jeffersonian Bible, and
हाँ,
that's
so
why the
जेफरसन
Americans followed.
was the president of United States from 1801 to 1809, so yeah।
Yeah. So if you see, correct, in American movies, they will show Jefferson Bible as the Bible, not the any other
हम्म।
Bible, as that the most authentic Bible, which the most holy book we should have. Which I remember that specific part of that movie. I don't remember anything else, but I remember that specific part itself. That they mention Jeffersonian Bible as the Bible which needs to be preserved and which is the going to source of
Because it is
a
their
Renaissance
heritage. It
knowledge.
is their heritage. Other than these kind of little things, what heritage do they have? तो वो तो ठीक है,
Exactly.
मैं तो वही बोलता था कि मैं जिस मैं एक बंदे को बोला था वहां पे कि मैं जिस अपने गांव में जिस मंदिर पे बैठता हूँ लोगों से बतियाने के लिए, उसका हिस्ट्री तेरे यूएस से पुराना है। सो ये तो है, ये फैक्ट है। तो जेफरसन बाइबल जो भी है, बाइबल इटसेल्फ इज अ वेरी इनकॉन्सिस्टेंट, मतलब लॉजिकल कोई, आप अगर गीता पढ़ते हो तो एक लॉजिकल कोहेरेंस है वहां पे।
Absolutely.
बाइबल और कुरान पे कोई लॉजिकल कोहेरेंस ही नहीं है। आपको मैं बाइबल दे दूंगा, आप पढ़ के दिखाओ क्या समझ में आ रहा है।
अरे उनके प्रॉफिट्स में कंसिस्टेंसी नहीं है भाई.
हाँ, तो मतलब क्या बात कर रहे हो?
Yeah, अबे their prophets don't agree on most of the stuff. Like
राइट राइट।
Luke, सारे एब्राहम सब डिसएग्री करते रहते हैं भाई.
हाँ, जो प्रिंसिपल गॉस्पेल है, जो 4 मेन गॉस्पेल है, उसके अकाउंट में इधर उधर है। देयर
अरे
टेस्टिमोनीज
they
डोंट मैच।
can't reconcile Leviticus.
हाँ
They, you know, अगर किसी कोई लेविटिकस पढ़ेगा, all
Right.
99% of Christians are going to hell. Arey, we can't eat pork. Christians are not supposed to eat pork. They're not supposed to eat shellfish. They're not supposed to mix their clothes, color clothes. It's a sin. It's a sin they can go to hell for. सब एब्रोगेट कर दिया suitability के लिए.
Right.
Okay, so let's finish our conversation. Vijita, I think
Right.
let's do tomorrow as well if you can. So then we'll finish it about
Let's
number
see if we
nine.
can do tomorrow. It will be fine.
Yeah, so
It'll be
let's
great.
tomorrow do it. We'll do it little
Sure.
bit.
आवाज नहीं आ रहा है.
Yeah, your audio got cut off. See something?
अभी आ रहा है शायद. नहीं.
No, nothing yet.
Yeah, I should be
हाँ,
audible now. My
हाँ,
headset died actually. Okay. So we'll closing comments from Vijita, Anand, and Rishi, and then we will again reconvene tomorrow to do the part 9.
नहीं, क्लोजिंग कमेंट तो हो गया. मतलब क्या ही बोले.
No, at least formally we should do the closing comment.
नहीं, क्लोजिंग कमेंट होगा फिर और
I
विवाद हो
think
जाएगा. I
slavery
think
we
we have
need
discussed
to.
everything extensively.
Yeah, I think slavery we need to do a one episode because it will be bit large.
Okay.
Slavery is
So
very
slavery,
good.
slavery we need to do a single episode with all the other references and incidents.
Right.
That we will do it. Okay. Yeah, Anand.
Okay, so
एको हो रहा है.
come on. Okay, so I'll just talk about colonialism because I think that's what we've basically covered. The idea that human beings are endowed with fundamental rights is a very interesting narrative that Christians spin, but throughout their history, they have not been able to achieve it. The only time when they've been achieve it is when they have mixed their they've inculcated lots of pragmatism, lots of deistic ideas about the nature of God and humanity, right? And the removal of racial bias. It's only that time they've been able to even come close to the idea of every human being is endowed with some fundamental ideas, fundamental values. And the only ones who even the only Westerners who have been able to come to that close to the ideal are ones who are non-religious. Like religious people
Right.
cannot, essentially, are not able to do it. Colonialism itself has proven that they have kept every other group, including Christians that they convert, under them. Right? So even their religion is not provided equality in terms of its fundamental tenets. So we need to frame that on a regular basis everywhere we go. What discussion we talk about, whether we talk about Africa, Asia, North America, South America, everywhere this is true. Thanks.
Rishi.
Rishi.
Rishi, you are there?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So on the issue of secularism, I had some comments. Even though they tried this experiment of secularism with the whole commandment from Jesus yet again, you give what belongs to Caesar to him, and you render to God what belongs to God, which became the origin for the political theory of two kingdoms, right? Spiritual and temporal. Yet I see time and time again they always mix it up. So the legitimacy of state also somehow they bring in from Bible itself at the end of the day, where they refer to that whole passage about God sent these states, so called, to govern the people that He has made, and therefore the legitimacy of state comes from Bible itself. And yet again religion creeps in time and time again. We see now, as Ananda was also referring to, with Christianity going full throttle in America yet again. We also see that in some parts, in even in Britain as well. So this secularism also is also failing in their countries, and also uh, Jacob D. Ruber mentioned this, right? So Christian secularism, there is this term as well. So even secularism never remained separate from religion itself.
Okay, so thank you everybody, and do remember to check out this specific book, Unbaptized by Mr. Dhanraj. Uh, if you can buy this book, read this book. It's we're going to cover this book in our previous podcast, in the coming podcast, and also we will have her in the show itself to talk about her book and her journey of being a Sanatani itself. So thank you very much. Jai Shri Ram. Vande Mataram.
Vande Mataram.
Jai Shri Ram.
Veda.